So hello everyone. I'm so sorry, the buzzer just went off for this session. So hello everyone. Thanks a lot for being present here for another very exciting agriculture roundtable. Today our topic of interest is inputs management. We all know that in agriculture, the first thing is the inputs, because if you don't have good seed, good nutrients, good protection, you definitely are not going to end up with good output. And that's why we are having some of the globally renowned experts in field of agriculture input. We are having from seed industry, from crop protection industry, from crop nutrient industry, and also mechanization industry. So we are today having speakers all the way from Indonesia, UK, Kenya, India, and we also have a very exciting panel discussion, which would be talking about how to scale up the digitization of agriculture input value chain. So we are having a very pretty interesting lineup today. So let me first introduce our first guest. So Mr. Mohan Babu. Mr. Mohan Babu is head of Web Seeds APAC at BioProtection. He's an experienced professional with a strong track record in life sciences industry. He has successfully delivered and is already delivering strong positive results while handling P&L for the past 15 years. He has a strength in public leadership, strategic and business planning, created sustainable marketing strategies, successful in turning around teams by creating winning culture in organization. I had pleasure of having first-hand experience of seeing his work in Indonesia and Malaysia. And we are honored to have you, Mohan, in this session. Thanks a lot for accepting our invitation. The floor is yours. Please provide insightful session to all our viewers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deepak. I think it's a pleasure to be on this forum and to address colleagues and to share the dice with all the knowledgeable colleagues will be very exciting for me. Today, I'm going to talk about how Bayer is empowering smallholder farmers, and also we are trying to harness the digital tools to feed the growing population. This is the topic that I picked up today to take you through. Just an introduction before I move into the topic. Basically, I just want to introduce what is Bayer. Bayer is more than 150 years old conglomerate, global conglomerate, and we deal with life sciences, basically into healthcare, and then the crop science and the nutrition part. And we have a vision. Our vision is incredible for all of us who work along with Bayer. This vision is alive. We talk about health for all, hunger for none. And in that, to fulfill this vision, the crop science business area is a crucial one, because we have 4 pillars to address this vision. One is chemical and biological crop protection tool. The second one is seeds and traits. And the third piece, which is digital technologies and services. And the fourth one is environmental science, where we talk about the public health. Now, coming straight into the topic, whether this supporting the smallholders and also harnessing the digital solutions, is it a conceptual topic? For Bayer, no. We are already committed to the global leaders like World Health Organization and also FAO and as well as United Nations, that we will be reaching and empowering more than 100 million smallholder farmers by 2030. That's the commitment that we have given to our stakeholders. And while what kind of empowerment that we are going to give and how we got that confidence that we can reach to this mammoth total of smallholders, just because we saw our own powers. Our strong strength is seeds and traits. We are also having a crop protection and also the biologics. And we also have the biggest investment into digital technologies And also we are creating a service platform with these digital technologies. So we want to club all these three and create a tailored solution for our smallholder farmers. Now, is the piece that will help us to reach or empower more than 100 million farmers? No. We should know what these smallholder farmers do and does they want to achieve their own sustainability and grow high quality crops in future. So when we deep dived, we could clearly see that each smallholder farmer take more than 40 decisions in one crop season. And also the farmer wants the best of the seed varieties to grow a good crop and as well as a minimum pest load on his crop. Now, while doing these things, he also wants to balance societal, economic, and environmental needs across his geography. Now, what and how we can do empower the farmers is we can give them access to the agriculture education or to the knowledge, know-how, and provide them with the tailored solutions, and also bring in some of the partners in the value chain to give them much needed nutrient solutions, irrigation solutions, etc., etc. But we also know very clearly that we need to continuously do the innovation to drive our environmental sustainability also while providing the solutions to our customers. Now, what Bayer did is we not only conceptualized, we started digging, funneling our ideas into a shape, and then we see that we need to have one-stop solution. That means one-stop center where we can put all these tailored solutions across to the farmer, which should be next to the doorsteps of the farmer, smallholder farmer. Now, the second piece that we thought is digital farming is the solution, because the pain points that our smallholder has in the value chain has to be addressed through these two. Now, while conceptualizing that we need to create a one-stop solution center and also bring the digital farming solutions to the smallholder farmer, we saw that we need 3 steps to take to complete the value chain. One is to the farm, the second one is on the farm, third one is beyond the farm. Now, what I mean by to the farm is smallholder farmer, when he's going to the farm, he wants the inputs. And these inputs can be nutrient, can be crop protection topics, can be irrigation facilities, can be seeds, can be tools, etc., etc. The second one is agronomic know-how. We know the farmer from generations, they are doing the farming, but are they capable of understanding to compete with the modern technology or modern farmers in Western world? No. So that's where we need to bring them some of the know-how. And this is what we are talking about to the farm. And on the farm, apart from the agronomical know-how, we are also looking at labor shortages and the cost benefit ratio should be taught to the farmer. And this is what we will be addressing on the farm, and the sustainability piece in the beyond farm and marketing of the produce and the linkage with the consumers. This is what we are looking as a pain points for the smallholder farmers. Now, where Bayer focus is in this 3, in the first to the farm, we will be creating the advisory. In the second, that is on the farm, we are creating mechanized tools which will be available to them, and IoTs, and the marketing linkages that we want to bring into the value from the value chain to address the pain points of this farmer. Now, going forward, I just want to address how we are doing this. The first step is, as I said, 2 steps. First step is creating a one-stop solution center. The second one is digital. So let me address the first one-stop solution center. We created a better life farming centers across the low to medium income group countries. Like, for example, I'll take Indonesia is one and India is the other one. So in these two countries, we have already started creating these Better Life Farming Centers. What are these Better Life Farming Centers? These Better Life Farming Centers are a small agripreneur shops where a entrepreneur who is interested in creating a shop can join. And what we are facilitating in these shops is access to agriculture technology and the know-how. We will be training, Bayer will be training the person who is sitting in the shop, and also our people will be working along with him or her to explain the technical know-how. And we are also bringing in financing partners, and we are also creating an access to the market and also building up a business risk mitigation advisors to the farmer. And not only advisors, we are also trying to link it with our agriculture insurance companies and also looking at the agri services. What I mean by agri services is the digital services like drone services, etc., etc. Now, through these centers, we want to reach most of these 100 million farmers, and not only empowering them with agriculture, technology, and the know-how and the services, but we also want to give the women folks of the farming families with a good medical support. That means we are also talking about health education to them and also modern contraception to these people around. Now, we have some of the Better Life Farming Centers already, and who can be a Better Life Farming Center owner? One, it can be a retailer, or it can be a village-owned enterprise like a cooperative or a partnership firm. And we create some ambassadors in this, and colleagues from that society will be taken as our agri entrepreneurs. We also provide the products to this agri from the agri input solutions, and we also link them with the off-takers. And also we are trying to give the support from our pharmaceutical division also for the healthcare. Now, one example I want to show, in Indonesia, we have spread across already. We have 3,000 shops in place in Indonesia and as well as in India. Put together 3,000 shops in last 1 year. And we are confident that we can reach to more than 1 million farmers in coming, 100 million farmers in coming 10 years. Now, if you ask me the success rate, yes, we have reached already more than 650,000 farmer and farming families in Indonesia itself, and exactly double the quantum has been reached in India through this solution sectors. Now, very quickly, I want to touch upon what is that we are doing in digital space. Now, we are working with our incubator approach, and in this, we have 5 unique digital ventures that we have started in 4 of our countries. One is Japan, where we are very advanced at this point of time. Second one is Vietnam. Third one is China and India. What we are doing in India, we are creating a digital farming advisory platform and also a market linkage in overall value chain. In Vietnam, we are in a different way. There, the spraying access and services is required to the smallholders. And that's where exactly we are creating a data platform, and we are helping them through our services like drones and also spray services. Now, in China, we are creating a horticulture blockchain, and horticulture piece is the focus piece for us in the digital space, and that's where we are working in China in the horticulture space. And in Japan, for sure, we are looking at the prescriptive tailored solutions and as well as the IoT solutions for greenhouses. Now, what and how we are trying to address this digital farming solutions is, first, we divided it into 3 steps, as most of others are also doing. First is data sensing and pipelining that we are trying to do. And in this, we are trying to bring in the input information, environmental conditions, data from IoT sensors, drones, satellites, all possible ways that we are capturing. And we are also trying to give agri-machinery applied data through some of our partners, and farming practices also we are trying to address in the first piece, that is data sensing. The second piece, where we are talking about the analytics, advanced analytics that we are trying to do, and we are bringing in scientific models through our Climate Corp, which is Bayer subsidiary, and where we are detecting and we are diagnosing and predicting. Also, from these three steps, we are also prescribing what to do, when to do, and how to apply the agri inputs. Now, execution is the final piece, and we are creating a clear platform to help the smallholders for risk mitigation, yield increase, and also we are talking about harvest quality improvement. Now, is it all going very smooth? No. We are very well know that data collection in the last 1 mile execution, Deepak, you are very well aware of the unique challenges that we have always. We have a better product, we have better analytics, more data, everything is there, but how to scale it up? That is where the last 1 mile execution, where we are really facing hurdles. The first hurdle that we clearly see is behavior change. It's very difficult to convince. Second one is digital literacy is a big topic, and then the infrastructure. Also, we are clearly seeing that there is a lack of incentives or incentivization is not happening to the farmer, and then the dependency and the trust on the existing analog ecosystem that we are in today. In the data collection piece, we are clearly seeing there is no applied data available from the agri machineries. There is very limited willingness from the farming community at this point of time to adopt, but it is changing fast. Low adoption of remote and IoT sensing tools. That is also we need to spend a lot of time, a lot of energy and resource to educate them. But on what we are looking at is now how can we incentivize and change the behavior of the customer? We are almost there. Some of the groups that we are identifying at this point of time is really helping as a affiliate to Bayer to expand our footprints into the society. And we are also looking at, can we semi-automate the execution and data collection piece? And we are successful in some areas, not yet there. And we are trying to leverage the analog of our touch points. And this will be a crucial one. And we are trying to achieve success in this by end of 2022. And the final thing is, while doing all this, we also need to keep our cost at a minimum, and thereby ensuring the viability and scalability of the solution to the customer. So in this, what we are trying to do is we are connecting the farmers with the local agricultural ecosystem, with where we have insurance companies, retailers, and the government advisors. You can talk about logistics, tech solution providers, you name. We are trying to connect with all this to bring them under one place, which we call it as Better Life Farming, and many more activities that we are trying to put together to have a collaboration across the value chain so that we can deliver a nice service to. These are the little insights that I would like to give in this short period of time about how to our smallholder farmers in general. Yeah, I think if I'm open for any question answer. Thank you very much for the time that you have given to me.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Babu. It was very insightful. I hope I'm audible to you, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So would it be possible for you to stop sharing the screen so people can see you on the screen when you're answering? Yeah. Perfect. So actually, very insightful, and believe me, the reason of cajoling you so much to be on this roundtable was with that this insight which you bring, because my interaction with you have been very enlightening one. and I wanted people to know about the great work you are doing. My first question is around you rightly mentioned that the change management is the biggest deterrent, especially when we are talking about the countries you are operational in, and you talked about where average age of farmer is above 50. So at 50, we all know that actually even I'm 44, it's difficult to change. And someone who is above 50, it's a little bit more for them to change. How do you see that galvanizing and making agriculture cool so that youngsters get into the agriculture? Because I've been scratching my head for past 4 years to make agriculture cool and sexy for youngsters to be part of it.
It's $1 million question, and it's a big challenge that all of us are facing at this point of time, because it's not only because of dirtying the hands or putting the fingers into the mud, but also the infrastructure that is surrounding the areas where you need to grow the crops. That's also one deterrent. The most important thing that I see is incentives at this point of time in building up the returns on investment from the farm, right? And that's the second major deterrent, where the farmer or farming family don't want their children to be into the farming business. Let's put it that way. But things are not bad at this point of time. I have seen in last 6-7 years in this part of Southeast Asia very clearly that young kids are coming back to the farming, who left for the good greener avenues in infrastructure building and other IT solutions. At least 10 to 15% of them are coming back because, one, they are seeing that the spray technologies are changing very fast. Second, the commodity prices are not that stable as we desire, but it is much better than 5-10 years back. Today, the reach of the produce is much faster to the consumer. So if you are linking very nicely, they are getting a good return. So these are the two topics which is helping them to come back. The third topic is societal. If you are living in the village and the response from the society is a bit lower, then what if he is staying in a place like Jakarta or a Delhi or a Mumbai kind of stuff at this point of time? So if we can address these things by providing the easy solutions, today he is not confident what will be the return on his investment. That we need to prove to him it will be sustainable and it will be much better than what he is earning out in urban areas. The life is better in the area where the agri business is there, and the linkage that we need to create in the value chain is very important. And in this, the digital solutions, and added to that, this one-stop solution. That means if we want to take 40 decisions or more than 40 decisions, we don't need to run to 40 people, right? If that we can solve these two, or we can provide him some solace, that will bring a lot of value into the business again.
No, I can vouch for what you are saying, because very recently, just a couple of years back, I was in North Sumatra, Delhi Sardang. That's a small the sub-province, sub-district. And I was talking to a very old lady who was involved in farming. I asked why your son is not doing farming. She said, I would love him to do farming. And I asked his son, and he said that the lady has gone mad. And you'll be surprised, this guy was doing Gojek in Jakarta. Just 3 months back, I again had a talk with that lady, and he said that, Deepak, the great surprise, my son is back, and he's using all modern digital agriculture, Tani Hub or some apps, right? And I'm so happy he's doing farming. So as you rightly said that, actually, again, with the digital, the young generation started seeing that there is more value, and as you rightly mentioned, that the money has to come. If the money will come, then only it will retain. Babu, my next question to you is more on innovation in agriculture inputs, right? So whenever we talk a lot about sustainability, we talk a lot about challenges associated with overuse of inputs, right? And from seeds to all pesticide, fertilizers. And if you, even in our analyst briefing, we have shown that actually that market has been stagnant for 4% growth year on year for past more than a decade, and that is what is being seen for next 5 to 6 years. Where do you see the innovation for companies like Bayer would be coming in, where they can shrug off this challenge of negativity associated with the input? Because I believe inputs are most important ingredients and unfortunately targeted wrongly.
You're right, Deepak, and we are trying to advocate, create an advocacy for last 5 to 6 years, I must say, on the benefits of the inputs rather than giving a negative perspective about the inputs. Why I'm saying this advocacy is very important, or we see as an industry, this advocacy is very important because prior to 5-6 years, we have never done the advocacy. We were thinking that it's needed, so people are using it. But now there is an advocacy happening, and it is science-based advocacy, which is very important, right? And this will take time because science is not that sexy for everyone to go and adopt it immediately. It's a dry subject. So we need to make it more understandable and more sexy, let's put it that way, so that people can adopt it as per the basis and as per the prescribed recommendations, right? That's one piece. The second piece is, in the past, the usage of these inputs, it can be chemical inputs, it can be biological inputs, or it can be the seeds and traits. There is a lot of myth in the minds of consumer. Now, slowly but steadily, these myths are getting evaporated because now the tools are so high that the good is also getting propagated very easily, but at the same time, there is some negativity is also propagating very fast. Now, the tools, especially, for example, in the spray technology, let's pick up that one. In the past, a farmer has to put a sprayer on his back and keep on spraying for hours and days together, and the spillage and everything would have costed him heavily on the health. But now with the drones coming in, it is few hours job, and it takes nothing from human intervention. It is just digitally he's spraying, and environmentally also it is very safe because instead of few liters, we are spraying hardly few milliliters, right? And the technology through genetics and through our traits, there is very minimum pests and diseases coming up onto the plants, so onto the crops. So these are the things that is also bringing positivity into the business, and where we are creating not only as input but as a tailored solution. That is the key for us to differentiate from other from the past to today. Because if the tailored solution which fits to that particular geography, that particular crop, and that particular farming community in that locality, that will be important. Yeah, and this will differentiate us from the past decades, and definitely it will bring much more growth to the industry and as well as to the farming community itself, and also sustainable environment can be maintained across. That's how.
Very well. No, I fully agree. Very well articulated, because as you rightly said, that we have to not just think about precision agriculture, we have to also think about precision business models, so that we are able to create value for the farmers for doing right things and incentivize them for doing right thing. And the drone is one of the topmost solution, right, which I believe should be adopted more, and governments need to come out with better regulation, right, to ensure that its free use can be there. So Babu, that brings me to the last question for this session. We have been having a very interesting conversation, and my last question is around the partner ecosystem, because the Better Life initiative which you are doing, we understand that in agriculture, without collaboration, without working together, right, it's very difficult to scale up. Where do you see that, what type of collaborators you are looking at going forward, whether they are tech companies or whether they are the last mile access? So according to you, which is the the bottleneck which the ecosystem should work on to create a more collaborative environment for success of the projects like what you are doing?
Deepak, very, very nice and a very important question, as your previous questions are. Here we are very open. We have 5 global partners already, where we have these partners also with similar mindset. They want to be in the helping the smallholder communities, and from low to middle income group countries, they want to participate and perform. these are from irrigation, like Netafim is also one of our partner. We have some bank and financing companies, and also we have insurance partners along with us. But we are open to have the startup companies also coming into our incubator with their solution, with their apps, where it can be suitable as an innovative step forward for the communities that we are targeting at this point of time. So if there is any good idea or better idea to create some solution, for example, in India, most of us we have in the complete ecosystem of the value chain, we have many stops that we need to plug in, or many openings that we need to plug in. So we are looking at a good partner where, with a good idea, where we can also support them financially and bring them into the mainstream and put it across as a solution provided to the smallholder. So these are the two steps that we are taking. We have a global players who are helping and partnering with us to support this program of empowering more than 100 million farmers. And at the same time, we are also looking at the startup colleagues to bring them into our incubator and then trigger it off as a next step to move forward. Yeah, I hope I answered.
No, perfectly fine, perfectly fine. Like, there are a lot of young startups, founders, and those from big companies who are part of our audience. Please look at collaboration, because that is very important, and please reach out to each other, because I believe one company cannot solve all these problems, and the vision which Bayer is having, 100 million farmers, we all should try to support, collaborate, and see to it that vision become a success. Thanks a lot, Mohan Babuji, for being here, and it was an honor to have you. And thanks for a very insightful presentation and answering all the questions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Deepak, for this opportunity, and thank you very much to everyone, and all the best for the remaining session. Thank you.
Thank you. So that brings us to our second speaker, and we move to Mr. GC Shivakumar. Mr. Shivakumar is a country head and GM for India, Bangladesh, and Nepal at East West Seed. He has an enriching journey of being part of the global food chain, contributing towards making lives of farmers better. So floor is yours, sir, and we look forward to your presentation. Thank you. Sir, you're on mute in case you're speaking. Yeah, perfect.
So, thank you so much, Deepak. First of all, good evening to one and all. I take this opportunity thanking the Agri Roundtable team for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I sincerely hope this could be a value-adding time investment for all of us. I think the great insight from Mohan, I think that clearly shows how even Bayer is also focusing towards the small farmer holding. And I would just like to be proud to say that East West is primarily focusing on small holding farmer, especially in Asian countries. So, if I just want to tell a little bit about our the growth journey, so our founder, Dr. Simon Root, started this journey almost 42 years back with a single goal and belief that good seed can change the lives of millions while positively impacting the livelihood of smallholding farmers. When I turn back and reflect, it is very humbling to share that today we are the global leader in tropical vegetable seeds, especially providing the required input for the smallholder projects, and we are consistently ranked #1 on the global access to seed index. This recognition is an outcome and the commitment and performance in providing the world's smaller farmers access to quality seeds, which really meet the requirement. When our founder awarded the World Food Prize Award in 2019, it was not just the Empire of East West who really enjoyed this moment. I think the entire small farmers across the globe, they really cherish this moment. So we just want to touch upon what is our business model, so what we are really doing. So at East West, we take a pride in the fact that we are a very people-driven business, and 33% of our workforce being women and 40% of our global workforce are millennials. We constantly invest on our talent and believe in growing talents internally to take over leadership roles as the positions evolve internally. So recently, we figured in Forbes magazine, so world-leading global companies that are doing well, doing good. vegetable seed companies. East West was ranked at number 28 out of 53 in Fortune annual change. So this clearly giving us an opportunity how we should seriously think about providing the good input for the smallholder farmers. If I have to attribute our success to one secret ingredient, I would point my finger to our core values. At the center of everything we do, we have the farmer in our mind, and we continue to learn and innovate while working together as one passionate team globally. And our basic objective is to serving farmers, learning and innovation, and we strongly believe in a land to lab and lab to land. And we constantly challenge ourselves and to provide the required input for farmers, and we work together as one passionate team globally. So while we are among the top 10 seed companies in the world, we are among the top 5 vegetable companies in India. Our goal is to top 3 vegetable companies in coming years, and which is primarily driven by market leading growth. We currently offer close to more than 173 varieties for the Indian farmers and operating in 32 crops. For the Indian farmers, we continue to expand in Indian R&D, and we are establishing more warehouses and investing in people and coming with a new product meeting the requirement of Indian farmers. And I would like to reiterate that East West is the only player in the top 5 league, which is a pure play vegetable seed company. So though others, we have only interest in vegetable seeds. So who are our clients? So as Mohan was also explained very clearly, our primary focus is on smallholder farmers, and we clearly want to understand the challenges. As we know, smallholder farmers are vital to agriculture and economy. They constitute about 78% of the country's farmers. While our smallholders own only 33% of the total cultivable land, their contribution to production stands close to 41%. Their contribution to household food security and poverty elevation is disproportionately high. Moreover, as the national population increases, so does the need for food security. So, what influences the decision making of smallholder farmers? Smallholder farmers are constantly constrained due to external and internal factors. The internal being the constant that what gives them the best again. The external being the facts like climate change and continued drought in many places. In these times, vegetable offer better economic choices for smallholder farmers. Yeah, high value crops can grow on small farms can yield better returns. For instance, 1,000 square meter of land planted with bitter gourd will give a farmer roughly the same income as 1 hectare planted to rice. As we know that rice is a water guzzling crop, so we can really bring down the water consumption, and the same benefit can be really enjoyed by growing the vegetable of his own choice. Vegetables can be harvested quickly. We know that vegetables have a short lifespan, basically which start from 45 to 50 days, and 3 to 4 crops can be cultivated throughout the year to meet the increased demand for vegetables and changes in food consumption. So we clearly understand what is really attributed to low productivity income. So we clearly constantly understand the challenges and start supporting the farmers to get the better revenues. So the total horticulture production has been growing year on year in India over the last 2.5 decades. Vegetable crops produced in India have nearly tripled, increasing to an estimated 314 million metric tons in 2019 compared to the 59 million metric tons in 1992. This growth is contributed both by increase in the area under cultivation and basically the improvement in yields. Currently, the Indian vegetable seed sector market is reportedly valued at close to $580 million, and which is growing at the rate of 5% per year. And just to say what we are doing in East West, at East West we are keen to place our efforts to build a faster and sustainable ecosystem covering the entire spectrum that would benefit farmers, and we are adopting newer ways and technologies to optimize the results. During this last 20 years, with a laser sharp focus on continuous improvement, today we are serving the smallholder farmers. So these are the portfolio, we are supporting Indian farmers. We are basically into goods, we are basically into flower and fruit business, and we are also coming with the new products, especially in hot pepper and tomatoes. Most of the times when I meet my friends for a meal, when they start consuming vegetables, especially for beetroot and pumpkin, I tell them that whatever they consume, more than 50% of the products from East West, and that really makes me proud that we are able to support the requirement. And we are able to do this as we expand our services to the farmers and we deepen our penetration across geographies and segments. In fact, the Indian market for vegetable seed industry is estimated to grow at a CAGR of close to 9% for the forecasted between the period from 2019 to 2024. ICR estimates that within the growth, the volume as well as compared to the hybridization growth rate, the size of the vegetable seed industry would double from the current to close to 8,000 crores in next 5 years, which is expected to reach a growth of close to 10%. A positive for Indian horticulture story is that it is spread across the country, not like it is spread across from Kanyakumari to West Bengal, unlike food grains where the success post-green revolution was largely limited to the northern parts of India like Haryana, Punjab, Western UP. If you take the recent export statistics of horticulture crops, several interesting angles emerge. The above facts send a strong signal that vegetable farming and cropping is growing at a dynamic rate, and people can opt to grow vegetables if they really want to earn more money in a short span of period. When you look at the global seed market, so global seed markets growth, we will understand we are standing at a threshold of huge opportunities with close to 8 billion coming from vegetable sales, which is increasing day by day and expected to grow in coming years. Now, where does this growth come from? What is driving this positive trajectory? As you see, these are the key growth drivers for global vegetable market. So, as you can see, the first point of influx is the growth in population itself. We will have more mouth to feed in coming days, and as we know, there is limited availability of natural resources, which is expected to shrink. This drives the need for innovation and technology adoption. For example, if you just want to say East West, we invest more than 50% of our top line to R&D every year. So just to understand what the challenges, how our direction need to be there to support the mainly focusing on the small farm holders. In short, in spite of barriers to growth, the change in eating habits and consolidation of agri value chain, I believe will propel the engine to fight more in coming days. And I also explained that these are the four important product factors which will really drive in coming days: population growth, innovation and technology adoption, looking at the changes are happening, and food chain, so potential barriers also. I don't want to go in deep that. So we all know that 2021 is declared as the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables. So 2021 is a unique opportunity to raise awareness on the important role of fruits and vegetables in human nutrition, food security and health, as well in achieving the United Nations Sustainable Developmental Goals. Agriculture is the primary source of livelihood for more than 58% of Indian population. Gross value added by agriculture, forestry and fishing was estimated close to 19.5 lakh crores in 2020. Growth in gross value added in agriculture and allied sector stood at close to 4% in 20. Indian food and grocery markets in the world, sixth largest, with retail contributing 70% of the sales. Production of horticulture crops in India was estimated at a record of more than 321 million hectares in 2020, which the recent estimate states that. While India was among the top 15 leading exports of agriculture products in the world, agriculture exports from India has continued to grow, and this year India has been ranked by World Trade Organization among the top 10 agri exporting nations. this great news could not have come at any better time when UN announced 2021 as the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables. So why vegetable farming makes sense to farmers? So we have seen how the global markets are evolving, and we have also deliberated how these changes are impacting our Indian farmers. Now, if I have to concise my thoughts together, I believe under the current conditions where the global continues to evolve on a daily basis, it is imperative that our farmers to evolve, and vegetable farming provides a fantastic opportunity to improve the overall economy of themselves. Yes, even during the pandemic, which has really created a lot of turbulence for everyone, including the companies, including the human life, the pandemic created unexpected flux across the globe. At East West, we embraced the challenge as an opportunity. We pivoted fast, gained from infusing technology in everything we did. We connected with the farmers more frequently through technology-driven tools. We tied up with e-commerce partners to ensure that we giving the right inputs for the farmers at the right time, even providing the technical support, what to do, even providing the market linkage for the farmers who have their produce to be marketed. So we extended ourselves to digital more, to the extent our efforts on improving our team's capability were on digital too also. So this was one of the greatest experience for us to support the farmers remotely using the available platforms. So I would just like to share one of the videos sent by Northeastern farmer who really wanted to say his thanks for providing the inputs during the time. So I would just like to conclude my discussion. So I once again take this opportunity to thank the organizing team for this wonderful opportunity, and conclude my note by sharing my strong belief that vegetable production offers additional income for farmers and traders while enhancing the health and nutrition of consumers, which is basically triple win. And now is the time we need to seize the available opportunity and help all of us to grow and eat more vegetables, because when vegetable rise, people rise. So thank you so much, Deepak.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Shivakumar. It was really insightful presentation. Would it be possible to stop the share screen so that we can see you on the big screen?
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. So thanks a lot. It was really like, I had opportunity of interacting with the East West Seed team across Indonesia, Thailand, and India. And I always get amazed whenever I see a presentation from your company. Always something more to learn. I would like to ask you a very simple question. Like, when we talk about the farmers, the risk mitigation is one of the biggest challenge and a deterrent for them to get into vegetable or fruit business, right? So typically, like, the cost of the seed to the, like, little bit more use of inputs, because the tolerance of, I'll say that cereal crop is a little bit more when it comes to pests than in vegetable and fruit. How do you see that actually, like, the model can evolve where actually, like, the farmers can be helped in getting them the credit along with, also that switching over to the fruits and vegetable crops?
It's a wonderful question, Deepak. So if you just see the recent trend, I think we have seen that the investing capacity of the farmer has increased. If you just see the overall investment, if you just taken as an agri input, the seed costs not more than 5 to 8%. Now the farmers have technology better than anyone else. They have a reach and they know what to grow, when to grow, and they have all the infrastructure. And now their investing capacity has gone up, Deepak. So they don't mind investing if they have all the infrastructure. So if you see, now we keep hearing about the hydroponics, aeroponics, and people are also coming with new exotic crops, so closer to the metros. that really gives a great confidence that it is going to be a good boom for the people who are planned to cultivate the most of the profit-making vegetables if they are really having buyback arrangement. So it is going to be a good boom in coming days.
And second thing is that the market linkages also becomes a little bit of a deterrent, because when we talk about small acreage, and for example, we work with a lot of community farmers on border of Gujarat, MP, and Rajasthan. And these farmers, we have cajoled them to start working on vegetable and food, because definitely, as you rightly mentioned, it increased their profitability for sure. Now the challenge here is that actually when you are having smaller, I'll say that output volumes, then the market linkages become a little bit of a challenge. Do you see that problem getting sorted out, by initiatives of East West, or you are having some plan of, because tech enabled, I'll say that aggregation, or having a collaboration with someone who can help your farmers who buy seed from your company?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. We started closely collaborating with most of the FPOs where we can really connect with the growers as well as the end users. So that's one attempt we started making recently. And we are also looking at how we can utilize FPOs for better outcome of the result. So while they are also planning to produce and give the seeds for the farmers, and we are trying to get a strong linkage with the FPOs as well as connecting with others. And we're also closely collaborating with the government institutions like University of Agricultural Science, where we can take their help to support, and we can connect that end-to-end chain. Is what we're doing.
Super awesome. And this brings me to my last question. What would be a message for those who are young people involved in agriculture, right, for motivating them to continue doing agriculture, and specifically in the fruits and vegetable sector?
So it is really exciting opportunity, Deepak. So now we started going back to the most of the B schools and universities, explaining them why they should come to the agri field, more so with vegetable. And most of the times people say that vegetable is complicated. I know that it's a complex, but definitely it throws better benefit. And now, as the lifestyle is changing, the capacity of investing for their own health and other benefits, people are more focusing on vegetable. And if you just look at the recent pandemic concerns, most of the software engineers, most of the high-profile people went back to their native and started farming. That clearly shows that it is going to gain the momentum in coming days. Only thing is be able to clearly message them what they're expected from them. Definitely, it will give us a bigger mileage. So I see a better future for agriculture. I see better future for vegetable in coming days.
Thanks a lot. Hope is all what is very critical for everyone, and that is what you have given us, sir. Thanks a lot, Mr. Shivakumar, for a really insightful session and being part of this agriculture roundtable. Thank you.
We sincerely appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
So now we go to our next speaker, and we are having Mr. Raju Kapoor, who is a veteran in this industry. He's Director of Corporate Affairs at FMC Corporation. He has proven leadership experience across businesses and functions. He has led profits, revenue operations, strategy, agribusiness, rural markets, turnaround management, new business development, managing government policies, public relationship, innovation management, operations management, and supply chain, to name a few. I would give floor to you, sir, and look forward to have a very insightful session from you.
Thank you so very much, and I'm really pleased to be at this platform, Deepak. It's been very heartening to listen to all that I heard so far. It's very interesting. And then you gave me a very interesting topic of sustainability. So I was just wondering, much of it is largely in bits and pieces covered. So let me just try and attempt a little bit of what really we should be looking at. So I have what kind of time do I have?
25 minutes.
Okay. So I'll try and make it there. Sorry, just one sec. Let me just share my presentation.
Sure, sir.
Oops, too many things here, huh? We're working hard, looks like.
Yeah, you have been always working hard, sir. No doubt about that.
Just one sec. Why is this not coming on the picture? Oops, just one sec. Give me a second, please.
Sure.
Can I? Okay. Sure. Is it visible there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So thanks a lot. Just one second. Let me just put this on a side. Yeah, this is the topic a little bit. Okay. So having heard all the great people out there, let me just try and see what I can contribute to the larger knowledge that you've been having. So when we talk of this, so largely what I'm going to do is talk about some typically, talk about some global challenges around sustainability in agriculture, technology, innovation, and in the summary, 2 slides to say, okay, what are the key challenges and how do we address them? But essentially, when we talk of the entire larger sustainability, we're talking about a healthy earth, we're talking about healthy plants and healthy people, right? So, and of course, for a sustainable future. So these are some of the key global risks that have been identified. And as you can see clearly, the top 4 risks that have been identified in the global study by the World Economic Forum, the climate action failure, extreme weathers, biodiversity, and water crisis. These are the 4 among all the key challenges that have been identified. And I think it's important to recognize then, on the light of those, we have now something like 8.5 to 9 billion people by 2030. Roughly about 1 billion people more than 2015. What we need is basically roughly about 50% more food, feed, and fuel by 2050. And all this we need where the resources are dwindling, essentially, if you can look at that. We need food, not only food now, we need nutrition, because so more than 10% increase the per capita protein consumption is what is required. Similarly, I think as the land is shrinking, as the water resources are shrinking, and there are bigger losses happening on the land, arable land, as you can see clearly, is going to drop down to about 1/3 of acre per person by 2050. Now, which essentially is meaning that we need to have a serious thought process around how do we grow more with less, keeping our food chain safe on one side, protecting diversity, making sure that almost 80% of the world's smallholder farmers have the technology to survive through this whole process, and look at how do we address the challenges of safe and judicious use of inputs and invasive pests, right? So this is what we are looking to do. So as a company, as a corporate, we are the 5th largest crop protection company globally, and among the largest in the country here in India. Where do we focus essentially is on the newer molecules and newer mode of actions of crop protection products. This is a very tricky area because this kind of is a very high investment area. We invest roughly about 7 to 7.5% of our global revenues on R&D. So essentially, the organization is completely R&D driven. It takes almost about $300 million to come out with one molecule, to bring one molecule to the market, and it takes about 11 to 12 years to bring that molecule to the market, right? So this is one big area. Looking at the environmental challenges, the other area that we have picked up is an area around precision ag. Now here, I think I'll be talking a little bit more as we move forward, but this is what we feel. If you got to have more from less, you got to be extremely precise with your resources. You got to conserve and make the most of like the Prime Minister says, more crop per drop, something like that. So more out of less is how I like to put it. Biologicals, I strongly believe, and we strongly believe that the future has to be an integration of the technologies, where biology on one side, the chemistry on the other side, the computer sciences on the other side, and the application technologies on the other side. So the fourth pillar where we work is the application technologies. You can see the drone there flying. So we are very looking at in collaborative and partnership mode. I think that's one question that you were discussing earlier. So the whole business model is about collaborations and partnerships. So this is what we do. This is our office at US. Okay, so as you can see here, considering that we need to have safe, secure, and sustainable food supply, what we are doing. So what we have done is we are committed that 100% of our R&D spend is going to be done on these sustainability advantaged products by 2025. But I'm extremely pleased to tell you that we're going to achieve this target almost 2 years ahead of time. Similarly, we want to maintain that the business practices will have to be safe, and the community engagement index will have to be 100 by 2025. Similarly, we are looking that we will reduce our environmental footprints significantly as we progress our business. Because what we recognize is that, ultimately we as corporate citizens will have to be equally accountable to the larger global sustainability as anybody else would have to be. So just one second, okay. And looking at the ESG part, which is becoming very important element these days. So on the environmental, social, and governance point, we have set ourselves very clear priorities. And then we are aligned to various UN Sustainable Development Goals, where we said that the organization will move to kind of fulfill those goals in that direction. And in terms of leveraging technologies, and we were talking about the precision ag, etc. So we have floated a new company called FMC Ventures. This company is essentially looking at tapping onto all the important and emerging technology areas and making sure that we have a very clear focus around them, and we look at a very clear benefit accruing to the users through the use of such technologies, whether it be in AI or AI for discovery and synthetic biology. See, the example here is essentially, like I told you, it takes about 11 to 12 years to come out with one molecule. Could we shorten this timeline? Because the number of molecules available globally and the mode of actions available globally are very expensive process. So the numbers are shrinking significantly. Now, this shrinkage of the numbers is actually resulting in lower number of molecules getting discovered globally. So we are looking to shrink this whole time. Similarly, we are looking at the biopesticides. So can we multiply the benefits and while simultaneously addressing the challenges which the regulators or the consumers are demanding? Similarly, the big challenge that we face is the resistance management. It's a typical nature's ingrained the resistance management, resistance into anybody. Like, for example, we get used to, Corona was very heavy, but we are getting used to it, right? So slowly and gradually, you'll feel that we'll actually get used to it. So similarly, we are looking to look at those areas which can bring in the automatic and this inbuilt resistance in the whole thing. Similarly, the areas of robotics or precision ag, which of course is a favorite topic of my friend Deepak here. But we very clearly are invested heavily onto this, where we are looking at digital agronomy, detection and diagnostics. This is very important because we believe as a crop protection company, we should not be reactive. We should be proactive. And that is when we will be able to deliver these sustainable solutions and give the growers a return on their investment. And the other part in that we are looking at is application. So how do we deliver solution rather than delivering a product? So what you call as, instead of company measuring it in per liter, we could possibly measure on per hectare, right? So it will be rupees per hectare kind of a business model that we are looking at. And then we are looking at, clearly there are digital marketplaces developing, alternate channels are developing, and then there are significant investment opportunities. So this venture is very keenly and eagerly looking at various startups globally to look at what is it that we should be, where is it that there is a synergy, and whether we can work with them organically or inorganically. How do we create a larger value for the end user? This is where we focus, and that's where we developed one of the farm intelligence program called ARC. ARC has already been launched in a couple of countries, and in India we are running trials with this. But the future is definitely a combination of all these things, right? And whatever we do, we put it through a sieve or a filter, if you may, which is called a sustainability filter. So any product, any solution, any service that we get out, it has to pass through this focus, this filter of sustainability, right? This tool has already been, it has won an award also, wherein we very clearly are saying, okay, if you're talking about getting in a solution X, how does it score on all benchmarks, and then try and address that, right? So, and then address the key questions, whether we are addressing the environment, whether we are addressing the wastage, whether we are addressing the safety of the user, addressing the larger issue of soil, its quality. Do we address the unintentional impacts of the solution or the product that we bring in? So all products, anything that we bring in new has to pass through this. And this is a very stringent assessment model. I think our R&D is always very scared of this model because much of what they do gets sieved out of it completely. And so in India, of course, we are equally invested. We have 2 manufacturing sites here, large manufacturing sites. Mumbai is our corporate office. Gurgaon is a major office here. Then we have a global innovation center in Hyderabad, where we not only innovate for India, but we innovate for the globe. This site is, again, one of the major innovation centers for us globally. Then we serve the large, almost 2 million farmers we reach out every year on good agricultural practices. We have social engagements where we run a project Samarth, which addresses the needs of the society, and that's what we drive through these 4 key initiatives, which is about safe water, where we're looking to provide safe water to almost 3 lakh farming families in the next 3 years' time. We already are reaching out to about 100,000 farmer families today in UP and Punjab, and this year we are expanding to 5 more states. So this is one. Second is on a good health. So we've done a major campaign around COVID protection of the villages. So I don't know if you guys could see it, but we ran 20 episodes, which were actually interactive episodes in the language of the farmers, which were beamed directly to almost about 1.3 million farmers across the country in their own language, on what COVID appropriate behavior they should follow up. Apart from it, we have put up 8 oxygen PSS plants all over the country, and of course, not to mention what other things. In the good agricultural practices, there's this very strong focus that we have. We believe in product stewardship and in ensuring that the farmers are trained so that they are able to minimize the impact. Similarly, promoting science among youth. So we are today sponsoring 20 students in PhD and MSc levels across various universities. Half of those are reserved for women. And we are working on a major initiative around empowering women. So this is what we're doing. This is Project Safal, which I'm sure you would have all known about it. But this project has won international acclaims for being providing a sustainable awareness, capacity building in a collaborative mode. See, fall armyworm was one of the major pests when it came into India. Everybody was thinking that Indian agriculture might collapse. So at that stage, we had built up this project where we created all together, grounds up, a full program in the public-private partnership. And that program today has been well recognized. It's online, offline. On a daily basis, we update people on farmers all over the country on the right practices that they should be following. Okay, so with this, let me just come down to what are the key challenges today are being faced in the country. So the biggest challenge, as I see it, is a low agricultural productivity per hectare and per head. Let me go per head. Agriculture today is supporting almost like half the population and contributing only 18%. That too now because rest of the segments are not doing very well. But otherwise, it is just delivering 14-15% of the GDP, which means what? That people employed in agriculture are not able to contribute significantly to the GDP. And why is it happening? Is essentially because, one, the productivity levels are way below. In many cases, we are at half the level of the best yields globally. And most of the cases, we are at almost like 30% discount to the global averages of major crops. We may be the largest producers, but in terms of productivity, we are rather low. What is happening because of that is that we are consuming large number of resources to produce very little because the productivity is low. So if you look at our water consumption, we are possibly living in some other planet, right? We are living as if water is never going to end. Whereas today, 80% of the country has become a red spot. Similarly, land. There's a serious degradation of land has happened. The stories of Punjab, the stories of rest of the country is not, it must not have been lost on all of you. There's a serious challenge that is happening to the availability of land per se, because one, the land is shrinking. The quality of land is deteriorating so much that the yield potential is getting compromised significantly. Other challenge that we see, climate change, I just talked about it. We were just discussing this morning among some of the CEOs that another 0.5% increase in the temperatures, global temperatures, is going to bring down the agriculture productivity by more than 15%. Now, in a situation where we got to grow 50% more, if the productivity drops by 15%, I think we are in a real soup. The other major challenge is low input use efficiency. I think this is one major issue where the costs of agricultural production have gone up significantly. Look at fertilizer, look at urea. The input use efficiency is hardly at what, about 25-30%. Similarly, water input use efficiency is extremely poor because we flood the water, etc. Look at the finance use efficiency, very poor. The money use efficiency is very poor. So is true for pesticides and others, right? So we got to draw more out of every single unit of input that we incorporate. That's not happening right now. So that's a big concern purely from a sustainability point of view, because all this is leading to lower returns to the farmers. And it's, of course, not the other bigger issue which is involved in this whole process is that we do not have the economies of scale, because more than 85% of the farmers are smallholder farmers. Because of their nature per se, they are largely subsistence farmers. So most of surplus that you're seeing essentially today is getting out of those farmers, those 10, 15, 20% farmers who have larger land holdings. So I think the disintegration of the land holdings is another reason why the returns have gone so low to the farmers that the farmer himself or herself has become unviable as a business. Farming is a business, remember. There are also significant losses. Look at just because of the pests, something like 200,000 crores rupees every year is lost to pests, just on one element. Look at the amount of wastage that happens when we are applying nitrogen. If 30% is used and 70% is going either up in the sky or down in the water, so that loss is getting added to the agriculture, directly or indirectly. Of course, there's a subsidy from the government, so all of us pay out of our pocket our taxes, but ultimately it comes as a cost on the economy, right? So needless to mention, the other important element in lower returns to the farmer is the fragmented infrastructure, where the entire value chain is so fragmented that it does not really become remunerative and accessible to the farmers. And the last and the most important one is the gender gap. I think we have still not recognized that half of the population, which is farming, is a woman. So not empowering them enough is causing a serious challenge to the largest sustainability. What can you do about it? I think very clearly we got to look at, incidentally, this Grow Well Together is our sustainability logo, where we're talking that I talked about collaboration right up front. So together is the word that says that we cannot do everything on our own. We will work with all stakeholders together and grow everybody and grow it well. Well means in a manner which is ethical, which is sustainable, and which is good for everybody, right? So let's look at the enhanced input use efficiency. So I think what needs to very clearly happen is precision ag is one thing that we definitely talk about. I'll come back to that a little later. But can we have newer formulations of products coming in? Can we have a new way of delivering solution? So I see clearly that the market demand right now is that they are looking to have not a system that applies inputs, but a farmer is looking in to have a solution. Can you control pests in my field and I'll pay you so much? Okay. Can you make sure that my crops are irrigated at the right time? I'll pay you so much. Can you give nutrition to my crop and I'll pay you so much? So these are the models which are very clearly on the anvil. And I believe most of the people who are today in the webinar are also from the startup ecosystem. So I would really encourage them to look at this aspect, because this is where the future holds, where we will move away from products to solutions. And that's the only way. We have to innovate newer formulations which have higher efficiency. Somebody introduced a nano urea recently. Okay, technologically, my fertilizer colleagues have been challenging it, but the idea is that why should you apply 200 kgs of a product which has so much of carbon footprint, environmental footprint, when you can do it with half a liter, right? So if you look at our products, the pesticides used to be applied in 1 liter, 2 liter today. Today, most of our products are applied at 40 grams, 30 grams per hectare, right? So that kind of reduction. Similarly, newer technologies. So the less said about it, the better, because I think there's a very strong need for newer technologies to come into Indian market, because whether it is seed, nutrition, or pest management. And I think this is one area where, unless we go, I should also add engineering here, mechanization. But mechanization would also include all these three. So let me just keep it there. There's a serious need to have seeds which are climate and pest resilient. There's a need to have nutrition which is specific areas, plant specific, root specific, crop specific, and productivity specific. You don't need to have one solution being put across everybody else, right? Similarly, pest management has to be crop driven, productivity driven, and environment driven. So these new technologies will need a lot of support, regulatory support, as well as support from the government in allowing these technologies to come back quicker. For example, I'll tell you, biological, there's so much of hue and cry. We are one of the largest player in biologicals globally, but we are not able to introduce our products in India for the last almost 10 years. Just because somebody somewhere has not understood the value. They are more looking at, okay, will you import it? Yes, I will import it because I cannot do the entire manufacturing in India when my scale is very small. So when my scale goes up, I will do major, and I will create that market. So similarly, I think what we need here is a support of policy, regulatory, and technology. All three things have to come together. And this one, climate resilience, I think we will be very clear that we do not have resources, natural resources to grow agriculture. So we will have to shift, bring about those either crop shifts or technology shifts to kind of sustain this whole thing. And precision ag, most important under these times when we are talking about resources, and minimizing losses, whether they are during the crop process afterwards, building the processing infrastructure. Much of the product is lost post-harvest. So how do we do about it? Soil health has become a major issue because soil is not able to convert the genetic potential into a yield. So how do we bring about this? And this is becoming a major challenge. Economies of scale, whether we use the FPA model or we go in for corporate or cooperative farming, whichever way. But I think we need to build up those economies of scale and have an integrated approach, which is a value chain approach, where you include every player in the value chain to address the whole thing. So let me just stop here and thank you all for your attention. I know it took slightly more time, but I'm passionate about it. Let me put it this way.
No, I understand totally, sir, actually. And unfortunately, in the virtual events, you have timing constraints. Otherwise, it's music to my ear, because this is where our focus is, precision ag and ensuring sustainability through technology. Would it be possible to stop sharing your screen so that we can have one question so that you can be on the big screen?
There we are.
Perfect. So, sir, I'll squeeze a couple of minutes because I cannot let you go without answering one question.
Please go ahead.
I love this concept of FMC venture. So I would like to understand a little bit more, because as you rightly said, we are having 20-25% audience, which is actually from the startup ecosystem, and then typically executives from agriculture industry. My question is that actually, is it the reverse acceleration or corporate venture model, or it is a collaboration model where you bring your own stuff and then you share the spoils?
That's a good way. Well put. No, so let's put it this way. The target is very clear. The target is looking at sustainable solutions. So anything that goes and adds that. See, we have our own format, right? Like we explained to you those 4 things where we are focused on. So anything that can go and add on to those in terms of delivering solutions, we would be interested to, one, we have taken over almost 5 companies already, as you're aware. We are very actively foraging across Indian ecosystem and trying to look at what's happening. But our other focus is on, what we call as those technology companies which are looking to provide sustainable solutions. And by sustainable, I do not mean that, you create a connectivity and that's good enough. No. So we are looking at, for example, one of the solutions that we are working today on, and a company that we acquired very recently is actually doing a lot of research on how does a fungus interact with the soil macro environment, soil micro environment, and what is the interaction between those two and with the root zone. So can we identify from there what should be a trigger which could snap the connection off, thereby eliminating the need of a fungicide in the soil altogether. or on the seed altogether. So just one solution, right? So similarly, we are looking at, so coming back to your question, yes, we are actually open at all kind of things. We are looking to be angel investors. We are looking to be partners. We are looking to have people look at our own technologies, and if they can grow it, well, let's talk it out. But right now, I think all the models are open. All the models are open, and we very clearly, like I said in the beginning, the organization is very focused on collaboration and partnership. You saw that right on the first slide, right? So yeah, so we're very open, and very interestingly, this whole venture is also headed by an Indian, that to a Sikh gentleman, so sitting in Philadelphia. So I think we kind of have a clear Indian twist to it. This much I can tell you that FMC Ventures will play a major role, and India would be one of the major battlegrounds where we would be focusing on.
Perfect. So at least that gives me one area where actually I have to send you a proposal for we being your scouting partners. we in fact, like, the solution which you're talking about, very similar solution. I'm working with a couple of companies. One is based out of UK. Actually, it's a Spanish company, but founders based out of UK. Africa is also coming out with a lot of solution, and definitely India, we are having a lot of solution. So I'll check your emails soon. I'll send you as a scouting partners.
It applies to everybody else.
Yeah, sure. So thanks a lot, Mr. Raju Kapoor. It's always pleasure to hear from you. I've been doing it for at least half a decade now, and always it's insightful. Thank you.
No, but I think let me just compliment it back. We're very proud that we have people like you, Deepak, who are driving the change, because I think somebody needs to steward the change, as we say it. So extremely pleased to see the passion and the dedication with which you drive the whole change. And I think we're going to be, the future is going to be having placards of people like you who have seen the future and tried to change it. So absolute pleasure being with you and being with all of you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for humble words, and that will motivate me more. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
So now we go to our next session, which is a panel discussion. And today we are having some of the change makers who have been driving digitization of input supply chain. So we are having Mr. Shashi Raja with us. Shashi is a chief revenue enabler at the Data for Decisions. He's having vast experience in software product development and strategy to deliver solution across the market. Currently, he's heading the journey of catering digital transformation solution under the umbrella of Data for Decisions Technology Solutions Private Limited, which is working with a lot of input companies to unlock their data silos. The next panelist is Mr. Rajendra Lora. Rajendra is a co-founder and a CEO of FreshoKartz. He's building a agri-tech supply chain model which leverages technology coupled with sourcing, sorting, and delivery process to refine the price-value equation. He has been someone who has been a passionate driver for phygital model, which include digital and physical presence both. And last but not the least, one of the initial mover in agri-input e-commerce segment, Sachin Nandwana. Sachin is co-founder and director of BigHaat. BigHaat is a leading supply chain technology platform in agriculture domain in India, building to connect the farming community directly with the suppliers in a more transparent manner, with the vision to empower the farmer using science, data, and technology. So my first question to you, Sachin. Sachin, you have been a old hand when it comes to digitizing the agri-input value chain in India. We would like you to speak about your experience and what are the challenges you see in actually enabling the e-commerce in agri-input side in India. Floor is yours.
Okay. So thanks, Deepak. You in the single line, transforming the farmer's life using science, data, and technology. So I can say this was a natural choice because me and my partner, we came from the product background. We were working in Honeywell. So we were always looking at the product. And I'm talking about 2014, 15, especially 2014, when we were working on the ideation. So we realized that everyone is looking towards the output side, and farmers 80% time he is spending on the field pre-harvesting time. So no one was looking, and that's where an agri input seed was a, I can say, first ingredient which he needs. So we did the market survey and we realized that no one is looking towards the input, and that should be right. And that's where we started in 2015. Challenges was different in 2015, like there was no communication channel, like 3G, 2G, it was working. So how to reach out to the people. And for the day one, we started horizontal play across India. So it was a big challenge, but since I can say HnyB experience helped us, there is a problem, there is a solution. So we said, okay, farmer, give us the missed call, and we just need the mobile number should be verified. We should have a PIN code, then we can deliver in any part of India. So that's where we started our journey, and now I can say 2019, the 4G came, geo penetration increased, and that helped us a lot. And I can say post-COVID first lockdown. So after that, we were saying that digital farmer is purchasing online. If farmers are accepting the digital channel. And I can say COVID helped us a lot to validate our thought process. And now farmers are accessing our data. I can say if I compare the last April 2020 to as on today, we had grown more than 10x. So this is a clearly sign that farmers are accepting digital channel. They are adopting they are now used to with the digital channels. They are able to book the online orders. So order is a one part, but as I said, we are completely creating the value chain. So once ecosystem is ready, so now we are releasing a lot of tech product where we can help farmers to get the right information at right time. So that's where we released a Kisan Vedika, Kisan Sandesh, Crop Doctor, and multiple integrated products we are releasing where farmers can get the advantage of technology in their day-to-day life, and they should able to take the informed decision while buying the inputs.
Perfect. Very well articulated, and I believe that your journey is has inspired a lot of people, because being the early movers, people learn a lot from your success, your failures, and your pain, right? And now we are having far more robust input value chains in India, especially when it comes to typically pesticides and seeds, right? And that brings me to you, Rajendra. Rajendra, you have been a little bit divergent than what Sachin has been trying to do with your phygital model. So I would like to understand from you that, where do you see your company, creating value for the farmers? At the same time, what are challenges you see going forward?
Yeah, thank you, Deepak. Thank you, Deepak, for having me. And I think great to be here. So, and Sachin clearly explained they are working on a different model, and we start. So just give you a background, we started in around December 2016. We started with a supply chain model, but when we went to farmers, when we did good amount of transaction with the farmer, then we also realized that output is not the only problem. We have to build a complete full stack model. Then we realized what technology we have to build, what innovations we have to do and all. So we realized most of the farmer, you can say 99.99% farmer, almost 100% farmers are buying from physical retailers, and still that time most of the farmers were also not using these Android phones and all. And in last 1 and 2 years, that has been changed. So we realized let's start with these physical models, that let's build network of physical centers and educate farmers, collect ground level data, and based on that, we do physical farm meetings and all. Suppose that after feedback from the farmers, let's build a product for the farmers. So today we have 1.25 lakh something farmers. We every month our every center organize farm meetings. Every single center have more than 3,000 to 4,000 farmers. So we collected these ground level data, and based on that, we realized that now it's also a right time to build a parallel technology platform. So today we also have mobile application for farmers. Their farmers can also place the order. All the centers are placed, all the centers are managed by mobile applications. Then starting with output model market linkages, then we have added Agri input edges service. Then we started soil testing. Today we have more than 10,000 farmers. They have also done soil testing from us. We are also providing financial solutions to farmers. Then we machinery products. If any machinery product requires farmer, they can place orders through our mobile application, or also they can come to our center and our central executive place order on that behalf, and it get delivered to in 3 to 4 days time. The biggest change we have seen, like in the, let's say right now is the time for monsoon and all, it got delayed in Rajasthan, some areas of Rajasthan. So we realized that most of the time it also happened that farmer take decision, let's say which crop to do sowing in how much area and all. So we realized that farmer also require instant delivery because they never manage like for like 15 days. They buy the seed and they keep at their home and all. So we have started with 90-minute delivery to the farmers. Our almost 80% are the orders in last 3 months has been delivered in 90 minutes to the farmer's doorstep. And that was that when we asked taken farmers feedback, then we realized that yes, that was the need, because farmer don't have to spend most of the time. Farmer also that go to the local retailer, he return the items. But when he order only after, let's say, raining, so in that case there will not be any return from the farmer side. So we believe the model which we are developing is the most sustainable model, because here farmer can also interact directly with us. Anytime they can interact, they can see the product, even they can understand physically about the product. Anyway, we also have call center team, we have it on the street staff team, all the agri input companies. Today we have more than 30 plus agri input companies partnered directly with us. Their these agronomy advisory team also working hand to hand with FreshoKartz team. So this is how we are creating a very physical to digital ground level ecosystem, where we can build a sustainable ecosystem where farmer also trust our model, because it also happens with the farmers. If they see you, they see okay, this is a FreshoKartz shop, so they also trust you. In that case, and we are also seeing most of the players are also coming to that model now, even big companies. And I also see like Bayer, UPL, they are also approaching with the same model and focusing on like physical centers. So I believe that was that this is what we are doing. The challenge in terms of the challenges, technology is always a challenge, but in our case, we are solving that challenge by our physical presence at the ground level. Our focus is to create maximum penetration in the areas where we belong. So let's say today we have Rajasthan. So our focus is, let's say, Rajasthan, MP. All three markets have more than $40 billion market size. So we believe if we can cover some, let's say 40 districts of these areas, still we can build maybe $1 billion company. So that's our focus. We are geographically and regional focus, and slowly we are going in other areas and creating trust among the farmers.
Great, Rajendra. Looking forward to see you as an unicorn for sure. And I like, I really, when we were interacting, I also believe strongly that the physical model has to be also there when we are approaching the farmers, because end of the day, like, farming cannot happen on the Zoom calls. Right. So that's cool. That brings me to Shashi again. Shashi has been doing something very different than both Sachin and Rajendra. He's trying to get into the systems of the current agri input companies and trying to dissilo their own data, right, and making it efficient. So Shashi, we would like to understand a little bit about, like, what are the challenges you see the input companies are having because of, like, they're having huge amount of data, but unfortunately they're not able to leverage it. And how do you make them able to leverage that hidden jewels in their data?
Yeah, thank you, Deepak. First of all, I would like to thank you and the entire team who is organizing such a wonderful show. And then even though we are remotely, but we are able to connect people, right? So that's intention we started last year, almost an year-old company now. Of course, we have a good experience in the technology. We are all from the technology. We've been working on the data past 4 or 5 years. That's how we realize that there is a huge gap within the data itself, what they have, right? That's how we started solving those problems and looking at what solution we can bring in without changing the ecosystem of what currently they in the supply chain they have. It could be a distributor, it could be a retailer, or it could be even a farmer, right? So we cannot bring a new technology to adopt them. We help them to what they have and leverage what they need, and then see that what data is required from the every stakeholder aspect of it. Now, giving an example, like for example, if the company manufacturer want to see the dead stock or the balance stock within the distributor, it's a huge among us task. The manual people go and collect those data, each distributor, and then put it back into the system. And then there is a huge amount of data gap in that. So we are solving those through the technology. We are onboarding that through our digital system, our distributors and the retailers, so that we are connecting system digitally, so that there is a seamless data connectivity happens to the across the supply chain, so that your data movement or data exchange can happen seamlessly. Now you can ask a question, how do you arrive that? What is the data, the privacies and so on and so forth, right? So we answer those questions also, because we create a system like multi-tenancies, and we create a visibility of the data what we are pulling from each stakeholder. So, or we are sharing the clarity and the transparency in what data we are pulling and what data we are giving back to them, so that it is a transparent system what we built for them. So it is good. Currently, we are almost 1,000 customers are onboarded on top. I mean, the stakeholders, they are happy what they are using it, and they are also see the changes in terms of what they are getting the benefit out of it, right? So that's how. And journey is not, we just started. Of course, there is a long way. Definitely, there is a good amount of people we need to collaborate, and then we need to take it to the next level. So that's how our journey is at this point, Deepak.
Oh, perfect. I'll go back to Sachin. Sachin, the challenge we have seen when it comes to e-commerce in agriculture has been the last mile delivery, right? That has been always been there are a lot of models where different companies try to solve that problem by either putting the warehouse closer to the farmers, or then collaborating with the postal service, collaborating with the last mile access provider through the existing retail network. Where do you see actually the best possible mix going forward, so that the input can be efficiently delivered to the farmers?
Okay, so let's start again with the 2015 only. I always see my BigHaat journey before 20 and after 2020. So I can say early days, India Post was the only option, and we started with India Post. And then we tried some private player, but it was not working. Again, we moved back to the India Post. But today I can say my more than 95% delivery is happening through the private courier partners, logistic partners. I partner more than 20-21 logistic partners. So this is as on today. And I can say the next big revolution will come in the rural area. That's what I feel, and we are witnessing if we will analyze the data. So not as an agri-tech company, but even the FMCG or other e-commerce company, they will also get the next big boost in their P&L through the rural sector only. And let's take the fundamental ecosystem is ready. How? Like post-COVID, it's almost 2 years now, or another 3 months, it will be 2 years. So you look this way, like their behavior is changed. Every household will have a smart device in next 2 years. And let's understand the today's fundamental, around if whatever the digital penetration we were expecting in 2024, that already we achieved in 2021. The student, the kids of the farmers, they also have to attend the classes, so they purchase the smart devices. So now they have access to the smart devices. I'm saying ecosystem is ready. Now you are talking about the logistic. Okay, so everyone, it means the company like delivery, e-com, everyone is trying to focus on the certain area, and they are going at village level. So that's a case one, I can say. Now apart from this, like I worked in Punjab, I executed in BihAat. So we also did some kind of pilots and experiments. So we were able to deliver in any part of Bihar in 24 hours. We did the similar pilot in Andhra, Telangana, and Karnataka. So there we were able to deliver in certain part within 24 hours and certain part within 48 hours. So internally, we also have a plan like in next 2 years in any part of India, using the existing ecosystem, or develop something top of that and deliver in any part of India within 48 hours. So it will be split in two parts. Like right now, we are major focus. We are doing the entire delivery from Bangalore. Once we'll reach on the certain scale, definitely we will reach out more closer to the farmer, and then we will execute. So this is how I think it will be evolving. And it
I fully agree with you that post-COVID world is very different. And even like, we do a lot of work in rural India, and we have found that farmers are more receptive of, if not anything, at least using WhatsApp, right? So they are previously they had the challenge of adopting smartphone, but now just for one application, WhatsApp, they are more than happy. Hope they don't read the Pegasus report, otherwise even they'll stop in their own tracks, right? So data security is another challenge. It's a topic for another day. Yeah, you were saying something, Sachin?
Yeah, I would like to add on the this digital
Sure,
adoption.
please.
Okay, we just released, like as I said, once the ecosystem was ready, we started focusing on the tech part, and we released the one crop doctor feature. I'm saying I am getting the input crop data from across India. It doesn't matter whether it's a Jammu and Kashmir or it's a Andaman Nicobar. So it means I'm getting the data from Andaman Nicobar also, and almost every day. So this is a clear sign that farmers are using digital devices, smart devices very actively.
No, I fully agree with you. Only like, the e-commerce is a little bit different because they just need access to internet even at their house. The bigger challenge I see is that, like, data connectivity for precision agriculture application, because the penetration even in US at the farm level is 23%, and India is not even in double digit when it comes to the access at the farm. So that challenge, I believe, like, we need to solve it. Rajendra, my question to you would be how you see the big input companies reacting to what you are doing, because you have seen that some of these companies, they're also planning something parallelly of their own, right? And then you are also there in the game. So do they see you as a collaborator or a competitor?
So I was like planning to have that question with the buyer person. I forgot the name. So because
Babu,
what is like, yeah. So I was planning to have the same question. I wanted to ask him that how he will be like the buyer, or maybe so UPL is coming up with Unimart, and buyer is coming up with the new centers. Other companies, I think they are also planning, and some companies also tried in the past. So you can see, like, when big companies tried, what happened. Like Haryali Bazaar was there. Then ITC also tried the similar kind of model, a full stack model for different services. So, and they were very big. They were very big players, and they tried, and most of them failed. And they also admit that we failed in developing that system. So, what is difference between a startup developing the model and a big company developing the same model? They have very strong network of these distributors, dealers, retailers, and that's very strong. And while working with these companies from past like 2-3 years, we have realized that even they partner with some startup, they get resistance from their distributors and all. So now let's say they also partner with companies like us, still they also try to open their own centers. So, and most of the business, let's say UPL is today getting around 200 crore of business only from Rajasthan, and they are getting most of that from distributor, dealer, and retailers. So converting that, and everyone want to go directly to the farmers, increase the margins, even also want to provide other services to the farmers. So I believe their approach should be collaborative approach, that how they can make these dealer distributor more digital. They can do partnership with them. Even they deploy their services with these players. So I think that would be more better approach, even going parallel with all the existing players. So you also said rightly that I think they should be open for the partnership with even all the existing players, because they have very deep rooted. Let's say startup don't have that kind of deep root, but the distributors, dealers, they have very strong presence at the ground level. And it will be again very hard for these companies. And most of the distributors are with these companies from last 20, 30, or even 50 years. Because we know very many big distributors, they are with these companies from long back. And if some distributor have any problem, even these companies also have very like limitation on these distributors. Distributors say the way distributor want to treat these companies, they do. That's the ground level reality. So I think they should come with a technology solution, or maybe approach, or maybe a model that they can partner with the existing players, and they start deploying their services. Maybe they start first not with the input, they start with output, or maybe finance, or maybe other solutions, or mostly they focus on advisory, and then they focus on their farmers, because that time they will get the farmers data directly, and they can pick the services. About the competition, it's a big market, so any company can come. Even any company don't want to give their product to any startup. There are more than, so one product is available with more than 100 of the companies. So I think that will not be a challenge for any startup or any company.
Very, very rightly put. So there is like, demand from the both side. It has to be collaborative, and it's not that where we believe that it is dominated by one company or another. One company is a market leader in one specific region, another region they would be third, fourth, fifth. So that keep on happening. So pretty well, Rajendra. Like, let me ask you a follow-up question on that. How do you see even the the margins then, right? When you are working with as I said that the distributor, and then you invest so much. But while the other, I'll say that conservative dealerships or distributorship might not be investing so much as like you. So how do you are able to match them, and when it comes to pricing?
Yeah, so like in starting, we also took help of distributor buying from them. Today, as I told you, we have more than 30 plus agri input companies as our partner that comes like seed companies, pesticide companies, and fertilizer companies. And they like the farmer require the product, which product farmer required. Most of the all the salts products we have with these our partner companies. So when you have, so we have eliminated like distributors, dealers, even the retailers. So we can save that margin. Even we can pass some margin to the farmers for that, and even companies almost billing in the same rate to us and distributors. That about quantity. Let's say now we also started getting good quantity orders, so we can also get good margins there. So by eliminating these 2-3 layers of mediators, we are able to improve our margins. Other than that, all the farmers are not buying, let's say, expensive products. So there are different kind of farmers, like margin farmer. They also prefer some, let's say, some middle range products. So there the margins are also high. And there are some in fertilizers, some products, let's say in urea or DAP, there are very low margins. But in some pesticides, the margins are very high. So overall, the margin can be balanced, and even it's very easy to get 15% around margins. I don't go to like 25-30% margin, but it's, if you pass the margins to farmer also, it's easy to get 15 to, and you can also in some product reach to 20-25%. But average, when you do a full stack model, like full all the product, like all the fertilizers, because we are doing complete basket for the farmers. Like we provide them the seeds, even there we get 1 or 2 rupees per kg margin, and we are doing all the pesticide, and we are doing all the fertilizer in urea. We are getting 5 rupees, but still we are doing all the products. So, but average still we are able to manage that kind of margin. So by directly connecting with the manufacturing to the farmers, we can focus on the margins, and it's not that tough to get those kind of margins.
Perfect. Very, very, very well, clearly articulated. So margins are there for sure. That's the good news, because at the end of the day, like everybody in the value chain should make money. Shashi, now actually I've heard with 2 gentlemen who have been trying to solve the last mile challenges, right? By trying to, in a way, eliminating someone where actually like, your solution is focused, right? We are trying to integrate the distributors with a better IT or database infrastructure with the companies. So I would like to understand, like, how do you see, like, integrating the existing distributors and digitizing them and transforming them so that they are able to compete with Rajendra or Sachin?
No, it's not a matter of the competition or anything, Deepak. I think
let me make it a little bit hot, like it has been going too soft.
I agree. Yeah, that's true.
And in
but
India,
again,
we are in having habit of like seeing a news with like 4 boxes, people shouting at each other. It was going too soft. So like I'm trying to gain TRP by putting a controversial question to you.
No worries, no worries. Yeah. So again, it's India's market is huge, as both are saying, right? There is always a good pie for everybody, right? So that's how it is. Secondly, the challenge what we are solving is not just the helping the digitizing the distributor and then retailer and the ecosystem, building ecosystem. The biggest challenge is also we need to address it currently. If you look at the counterfeit and the duplicate products, right? Which is can be, if only way we can do is more streamlined, digitalized system across the value chain or a supply chain thing, right? So that is a kind of a thing which we can address it also. Whether Sachin does, whether Rajendra does, whether we does, I think it is a more of thinking all of us in a kind of giving the good product to the farmer. At the same time, that product is very genuine, so that it is not impacting on our health back what we eat, right? So that is another biggest challenge which we need to address, and the also social responsibility for us, right? So that is one part of it. It is only possible when we achieve it digitalizing across all the value chain, then only possible. Now what we putting it here are first steps, right? So making it more genuine, the product is moving to from manufacturer to directly to the farmer, or the through value chain, what we have supply chain within that system, but more measured with the keeping the transparency in what's happening, so that that gives a more clear cut product to the farmer. So that is what it is saying. Now, of course, there will be always a challenge for a collaboration. There is always the option for collaboration if the digitalized across the value system. The prices are very clear and the transparency is everywhere, so that it gives you kind of a thing. Of course, what we are taking the data is not related to the sales, what price they are selling, but how much demand is there, how much the stocks are there, and then by which we doing, because it's a seasonal business in agriculture. If you look at, the demand comes when the rain is there, and demand comes when it is the supply is there some corner, and but demand comes another corner. These are the fundamental problem we are trying to solve across the supply chain, so that your carbon footprint can be reduced by unnecessary logistics. And also there is a huge amount of manual intervention to do getting the data or the collecting the information what is required. All those things can be cut down. So these are the fundamental problem we are solving. Of course, there is always a space for everyone, I would say that. Over to you, Deepak.
Yeah, sure. Got it. So now, that's bring me to the last part of this panel discussion. I would start with Sachin. Sachin, what do you want to see as a change in both, one in input companies and one in regulation, right, for your industry to grow better than what it is doing today?
Okay, so I will say more the regulation point of view, that we want to follow the regulations, but we should have a single window approach when we are working for at pan-India level. So I believe that's where government should work, like take the license with the one application across India. We are done. So
that's easier said than done. Actually, you're lucky you are not in a regime where actually every district you have to go and get it. No, at least at the state level you can do that. No, I fully agree with you. This is and for every seed you have to take a different license. Then you have to take it for pesticide, a different one, the fertilizer different one. So I believe I fully agree with you. Those challenges need to be sorted out for growth. Rajendra, from your side, any specific challenge for both the input companies or the regulations you want to talk about?
Yeah, so regulation, I think everyone know, and you should know how to handle it. Otherwise, it's a very big fan. So, and the government is trying something like they are doing this DBT through that. Even now licenses, even you can add your PC directly. You can. So they are doing digitized things. We can't say it's same old thing, but it's very slow, and startups don't follow the sort because they don't have much time to grow. So that's why they have to be fast. And I think everyone is trying their level best, and we also tried with different organizations, reach at the highest levels that anything can be done. So I think input companies, because they government also know them very well. So I think everyone should come together and take a proposal to the government. So that's about the licensing and all. That's very complicated process in this segment. Still, the laws are from 1956 or 65, and we have to follow that. Other than that, with the input companies, I think so most of the input companies also, to be frank, it takes good amount of time to partner with them. Still, most of people also don't see good, they have good approach with the startups, or they should focus on the startup, because everyone see which is the maybe 200 crore company or 500 crore company, then they should partner. I think they should be more collaborative towards from maybe day one. If they seem it's a good vision, they can also bet on them. They can also focus on the partnership. So I think they could be more collaborative or more partnership in the model. because they also now there are also many available options. If they can get the good options with as a partnership, it will be even helpful for them only. So there are different players. Maybe today they are, and even in our case, we have practically identified that whichever companies we have partnered with, they themselves tell that they got benefit by partnering with us. And this could be with any other agri input company. Let's say today we have 30 companies. Now our requirement of adding more input partner is not that high than it was like maybe 1.5 years back. So I think they could be more collaborative and more supportive for the new players. And it's a very big market. There is no competition. No one eating no one's like the market or anything. So I think that's self understood from my side.
No, sure. Only I'd like to add, because I work very closely with a lot of input companies and the senior management level. See, one of the challenge for them is that loss of reputation, right? So when they are trying to partner with the startups, they're one of the challenges that actually startup fatality rates are so high, right? So they partner with someone and then who's having track record of 1.5 years, and then that the startup winds up. Then it is going to be a big challenge for them, because if you see some of the example with a very big fertilizer company, they were having an agreement for years with a company in Indonesia, and one fine day they started their own parallel product with the same thing, right? And it took a couple of years for that company to recover. So they have put a lot of, as Mr. Kapoor was saying, a lot of money goes in building those molecules, building that infrastructure that would connect, that market share, and suddenly loss of reputation can be a big challenge for them. But yes, I would be more than happy to conceive that actually if input companies can be more open to participate, maybe with some riders, that would be great. I'll go to Shashi. Yeah.
Let me add,
yes,
because this is where we witnessed definitely initial resistance we had. One of the leading input company, they said after 3 months you will not be here. I said, okay, after 3 months we will be having a 20 plus year of experience, because you have 20 years of experience, and we will learn. So that will be what we will focus to learn from you. But that was the initial resistance, and I can say we believed in the collaboration, and that's one of the reasons we are here. And the team member like GC, who was earlier in the Monsanto, I can say he is the guy who believed on us in 2015, and he supported us. So I can say industry may have all kind of people. We have a forward-looking people also. We have people who has some constraint. So I believe this is the way it is evolving. So the way we were in 2015 and today, it's a totally different ecosystem.
Fair enough. I fully agree with you, Sachin. So, Shashi, last question to you. What are the challenges you are seeing if when you reach out to input companies where you are trying to look deep in their own data, how comfortable they are helping you in get and then put a solution there?
Yeah, absolutely. That's challenging. I think getting it as a starter, and then always how we can chase them out from the meeting, right? That is how we started, of course. But we had a good kind of the technical background and the showcasing a newer technology, what they want. We also studied what they need, in fact. And then we also started collaborating with various aspects of it. And of course, the turnaround time for us, which is very minimal, because we have a capability to turn around time comparatively. If you go the bigger team or bigger technology company, and the price and our other things, so is also the competitive for them to look at what we are doing, at least to see, okay, let's listen to them, what they are bringing, and then they tested us at least to 6 months. Then of course, finally we started with them, right? So that's how it is. There is always a challenge when there is always a adaptability challenge also. And also it is not adaptability challenge what we are doing, but internal selling is also very important. There is a rigidity, there is a kind of a mindset change. There are a lot of change which we need to bring in, convince them. If you bring change like this, it will be a benefit for you more than us. So that is a kind of a approach we taken. We are kind of getting succeeded in that direction.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. It was a pleasure talking to three of you, different perspective. And I believe all those in input industry would be watching that. And definitely I will be sending this cutting to Mr. Tomar and Mr. Agrawal, right, about your challenges with the regulation for sure. I'll do that. Thanks a lot. So that brings us to the the next speaker. So now from typically the pesticide, fertilizer, let's move to another input which is also very critical for doing farming. That's actually automation and mechanization. So we are having a speaker all the way from Africa who has built a very successful company there using Uberization of mechanization. So we have got Folu Okunade. Folu serves as a CEO for Hello Tractor, responsible for shaping, executing, and measuring the organization's growth strategy and operations. Prior to joining Hello Tractor in 2019, Folu was a senior manager at Accenture focused on defining and implementing large-scale transformational process improvement solutions, primarily within the financial service sector. Folu's experience also extends to driving agriculture system changes at the Nepal Business Foundation, specifically within the CDAP program. The floor is yours, Folu.
Hi, Deepak. Thank you for that warm introduction. And let me try to share my screen, or try to share my face here. Hopefully you can see me.
Yes, I can see you. You're looking very handsome. Thank you for joining.
Well, thank you for inviting. This is unfortunately, again, as I told Deepak earlier, I'm having to join from my phone because my laptop kind of died on me this morning. So apologies for, we are a tech company, but right now I'm feeling very low tech.
I think Neeraj can share the screen. He's having already a presentation. Neeraj, can you share the presentation?
Yeah, sure. Just a minute.
Thanks.
Is it visible?
Yeah, it is visible. Yeah. Can you make it full screen? So that.
Yeah, sure.
So as Deepak mentioned, my name is Folu Okunade. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Hello Tractor. And as he also mentioned, Hello Tractor is an agriculture technology company. We started in 2015, back in Nigeria, actually, with the sole purpose of connecting equipment owners, tractor owners, with farmers who are in need of mechanization services. The core of Hello Tractor is that we believe that mechanization is a key input to farming, and as such, if managed and organized properly, we believe it can have substantial impact on both farmers as well as equipment owners. Move to the next slide. So I don't think these stats will be news to really anyone on the call, but I just wanted to kind of level set and lay the playing field for why we think mechanization is such an important input. As we know, there's 500 million smallholder farmers plus in the world. Increasingly, there's more mouths to feed. And as we see with things like rapid urbanization, there's less people that are actually farming land to produce the food to feed the population. In markets that we operate in, around 70 to 80% of the food is grown by these smallholder farmers, and equipment is really their largest expense. It's their largest expense, but it's also one of the inputs that is highly in demand for farmers. We've also seen that the lack of equipment or access to equipment represents up to 50% of the yield gap, and we can see that in the low productivity of smallholder farmers in Africa, but also in Southeast Asia. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. So even as we see the problems that are related to mechanization, like low yield, we still see that the majority of the farmers in markets where we operate are still using manual labor to cultivate their land. Right. So we know that in terms of speed, a tractor can do the work in a fraction of the time and less labor that it takes for manual labor. Right, 40% faster a tractor can go. We know that the cost, if you take it through the production life cycle of the crop, is often 2 or more times cheaper by using mechanization. And obviously the added impact of a uniform growth and height within your crop, and almost a 3 times yield impact on your produce. So we see this time and time again, where where we talk to farmers who are using mechanization, who are not using mechanization, just the growth in yield is immense. But we see this lack of access to mechanization as a key kind of bottleneck that is leading and continuing this cycle of entrenched poverty, food insecurity in many of the communities that we operate in, gender productivity gap, and it's really jeopardizing the communities, the country, and really continental stability. So that's kind of what led us into this space. Next slide, please. So if we shift a little bit from the farmer side, as I said, we are a platform that's connecting both equipment owners and farmers. To the equipment owner, the supply side, we also see some issues and challenges on that side as well. Globally, about 1.7 million tractors are sold specifically to service these smallholder farmers. I'll get into the numbers in a little bit, but a large part, as you all on this call know, a very large percentage of that is sold into the Indian market. We still though see rampant fraud and inefficiencies that are leading to up to, and we've even seen more, a reduced revenue by 300%. And we know that Africa is hardest hit by this unserved demand that we see in the market. Next slide. So if we look at, again, talking about the shortage of mechanized assets on the market, if we look at the global average of tractors per 100 square kilometers of arable land, we see that Sub-Saharan Africa is lagging far behind other regions in the world. There's about 8 tractors to have every 100 square kilometer of land, where the global average is 200. This leads to a tractor deficit, for example, in Nigeria of about 750,000 tractors. In Kenya, we see where I sit currently, we see a tractor deficit of about 140,000. Even India, where last year alone, about 800,000 new tractors were sold into the market in India, we still see a shortage. So there's still a deficit and an opportunity to be filled there. We expect that number of new tractors in India to be about 1 million plus this year, just going by projections that we've seen. But compare that to all of Africa, all of Sub-Saharan Africa, which is about 15,000, a fraction of that. So you see that there's a long way to go. But how do you catalyze this investment, right? How do you increase or shrink this tractor deficit? We believe there's really a couple of ways to do this. One is obviously through economies of scale. We believe that if we make service delivery to smallholder farmers cost efficient by growing farmer demand into geographic clusters, and so we have some tools and some mechanisms where we cluster and work with partners that are clustering demand on behalf of tractor owners. Tractor owners can now service into a demand that is commercially viable for them to do so. We also believe that by reducing the fraud and the operational expenses that go along with that, it'll also add more liquidity into the market, into the pockets of the equipment owners. Through this, we can create a business case to crowd in more investments and more financing, and lead to additional assets in the market. And I'll talk a little bit more about kind of how we see this cycle going in one of the later slides. Next slide. So a little bit about Hello Tractor. I mentioned earlier that we started in 2015. We started in Nigeria. We actually started as a tractor dealership, believe it or not, as a small fish selling about 20 tractors a year, but trying to play against some of the bigger fish. In about 2017, late 2017, 2018, we kind of came to our senses due to some macroeconomic factors, and we decided to actually pivot to be more of a technology company and focus on our core technology, our software. And that pivot really allowed us to then expand beyond Nigeria. One, expand within Nigeria and then beyond Nigeria. And so the large part of our devices and our technology still sits in Nigeria. But we operate over 13 countries in Africa and 3 in Asia so far. Next slide. So really, what is our technology? Our technology starts with a hardware device. It's a telematics device that sits onto tractors. We install it onto tractors. That device comes with an international SIM card that then allows tractor owners, equipment owners, fleet owners to better manage their assets using our fleet management software. So with the fleet management software, they're able to get things like maintenance alerts. They're able to better manage their operators. There's their fleet information. They can see the fuel consumption at any given point. They get weather alerts, tamper alerts, outside of geofence alerts, and a whole host of things to help them better monitor and manage their fleet. And the other side of the equation, we also have a booking application, which as well, the SIM card that's within the hardware now allows a farmer, any farmer, to download the app and see the nearest tractor to them. And once they see the tractor, it has the right implements that they want, they can immediately book the services of that tractor. That booking job then gets pushed to the tractor owner, who can accept or change the date or call to coordinate the service delivery. So we've done all this with entirely local development team within Nigeria and Kenya, and we've seen the supply of tractors grow immensely on our platform. Like I said, we went from kind of selling 20 tractors a year to having more than 3,000 assets on our platform to date, serving over 500,000 farmers since we first started. Next slide. So how do we do this? Just to continue on that, we're really looking at enabling an ecosystem that's built around the farmer, a digital ecosystem. So when the tractors go to the farmer to farm the land, that creates a digital record of that farm, and that digital record doesn't, or that farm doesn't move, so that digital record is there for quite some time. The idea of that then is that we can crowd in different partners that we work with, that we currently work with, right? So whether they're OEM partners, manufacturers, our connectivity partners, or even our marketplace partners and those that, like the NGOs and the INGOs that are organizing farmers and providing service into the farmers. Now we can kind of crowd them into this platform and provide additional services, much needed services to the farmer and to that farm. And the ecosystem that we're building is really not one that, I think other people have mentioned this before as well. We don't believe anyone can go at this on their own, right? So partnerships are absolutely key. So I think on the bottom right there, you'll see kind of, a little snippet of kind of how we see this ecosystem forming. And we're currently working with partners that are doing soil testing, crop care, farm management and planning, input sourcing, market access, financing. There's a lot more on that's not on this slide. But we want to crowd those into the technology platform so that the farmer can have a holistic view of, okay, if the tractor is already here, how can I use a similar platform or an integrated platform to get my inputs? How can I understand the health of my soil better and improve the health of my soil? And then once the produce is, the crop is ready to be harvested and I've harvested, how do I know, who's buying my crop at what price at a given time? So it's really enabling that entire ecosystem that's all built around the farm and the farmer. Next slide. So this is what I was talking about earlier. I'll start on the right side of the equation, right? So, you know, one of the challenges that we came into the market to resolve was the lack of mechanization, right? Put simply, the wrong way to go about solving that challenge is to just flood the market with mechanized assets, right? That hasn't worked at all for anybody. So we started at on the supply and demand side, right? So we wanted to get existing owners better managing their assets, right? And that's kind of the first part of our solution is to help the manager decrease their operational costs by better managing that asset or that fleet. And then we opened up a marketplace of farmers. By better organizing those farmers into clusters, geographic clusters, and then planning the routes along which the tractor owner can go to service those clusters, right? By organizing the routes better and planning ahead of time, ahead of the season, the tractor owner now has improved profits, higher liquidity, to be able to grow their fleet, right? And we've seen this happen in the markets that we operate in. And then now that they have this additional liquidity, they need to be able to have the access to purchase additional tractors if they so desire. So we've actually created a pay-as-you-go tractor financing product to lower the cost of borrowing, to crowd in more actors that were previously underserved or underbanked, that can now afford to finance a tractor because of their improved profits from maybe a tractor that they've previously owned, or a tractor that they've previously driven around, or a booking agent who's been booking 500, 600 acres of land per season, right? So now the cost of borrowing goes down, the access to financing goes up for folks that previously were crowded out by the commercial banks, and the size of the fleet now starts to grow. So we're able to do this by using the IoT data that comes off of our device, number one. Number two, we're also able to do this with information and trust, right? So the information is around what the data that we can get on our platform. The trust aspect is around these network of booking agents that we have around the country to really book and aggregate and cluster demand on behalf of the tractor owner. We're able to also decrease operational costs by introducing our routing technology, which now saves fuel for the tractor owner, and then really provide some wraparound services specifically geared for the equipment owner. So these are things like financing support, sales and marketing, access to inputs, retail markets, climate smart offerings like conservation agriculture, equipment that can be used and leveraged for higher profits and higher margin. Okay, next slide. So I'll end with my favorite slide, which is really the impact that we've seen this have on the lives of farmers as well as equipment owners. So if we kind of look at this study was done last year in the middle of COVID, and we're really proud of it. We see that 95. If you look at kind of the top two that I'll probably point to are the top right ones, right? 93% of farmers say their overall quality of life improved. By the way, and I'll reiterate, this was during COVID that this study was taken, improved as a result of being integrated into the Hello Tractor solution. And then the very top right one, where 55% reported that this was the first time they've used a tractor. This is a really proud stat for us, and we look to grow it going forward as well, because it means that we're not, the majority of the farmers that we're targeting are not existing mechanized farmers. We're actually growing the pie. We're growing the the opportunities for farmers who've never been mechanized before, whether that's because they didn't know that they could afford it, or they didn't see a tractor nearby to even be able to access one. So that's something that we look to continue to build upon as well, is to crowd in new farmers who've never thought that they could be mechanized into the mechanization framework, so that they can also start seeing improved yields, improved income at the end of the day. And hopefully at some point they have so much profits that they can also be equipment owners.
Perfect, Folu. Thanks a lot. So Neeraj, you can stop sharing the screen, and we can have a question. So how do you see your approach for entering a market like India, or what's your perspective or view on that?
Yeah, we've actually done a few pilots in India with a couple potential partners. India is a very important market for us. I think just if we look at some of the variables that make markets that we enter attractive, right? So one core variable is that the large part of the tractors that are sold onto that market are sold to tractor contractors, right? So these are farmers that are utilizing their tractors as a business, right? As opposed to ones that just buy a tractor and just want to use it for their land. It's not necessarily for business purposes. So we see that as a factor, and we see that type of economy in India as well. So we see an opportunity there to help tractor owners who have fleets of tractors that are driving around, to reduce their operational costs by being able to better manage and monitor their fleet with the tractor, the Hello Tractor device, but then have access to this marketplace of farmers that are actually looking to get the services of the tractors. So it's both kind of a reduction of cost, but then an increase in revenue as well. And the volumes are just there. Like I said, it's night and day when you look at all of Africa versus just India. And even with the 1 million tractors that are sold into India, there's still a tractor deficit.
No, I fully agree with you. Like, there is a huge potential in India for sure. And wish you all the best, and look forward to support you in your endeavor of tapping one of the most important tractor markets in the world. Thanks a lot, Folu. It was a pleasure having you, and thanks for having a very interesting interaction.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I enjoy it, and please reach out to me if you have any questions, or I can help answer anything.
Sure, 100%. So that brings us to our last speaker for today's session, and we are having a very eminent person. And we talked about pesticide, fertilizers. We talked about mechanization. Now it's time to talk about the bio part of agriculture. So we are having Dr. Minshad Ansari. He's a founder and CEO at Bionema Limited, an experienced scientist who became a serial entrepreneur who is passionate about developing and commercializing natural bioproducts, protect crops from pests and diseases, reducing the use of synthetic pesticides, enhancing food security, and increasing crop yields. He has founded the World BioProtection Forum in 2019, which is a non-profit organization for encouraging collaboration between the biocontrol industry and academia for novel innovation at the Biopesticide Summit Award platform. So floor is yours, Dr. Ansari. Sir, you're on mute in case you're speaking.
Slides.
Perfect, sir. We can see your slide and we can hear you as well, please.
Right. So thank you very much, Deepak. I think this is fascinating. After a long time, listening something which I'm not fully up to date. So I left India in '98 and went to Belgium, and then from there I went to UK in 2005, and since then I'm here. So, but I have been in touch with a few of them, and those are very much involved in biosector. And I'm actually watching very closely how India is moving towards mechanical farming and also in biosector. So I think it was also interesting. You asked me this one, and it was difficult. Biotechnology in agriculture was a topic which was a bit, I think, is very wide topic. So I just shorten, and it's become agri-tech, and wanted to do something proportionally, not very much focusing on what I'm doing here as a general audience to understand what is the biopesticide is about, and how that is a part of a whole agricultural food chain. So as you mentioned that I founded Bionema in 2012 after 15 years of academic research. So it's very much coming from academic background and becoming entrepreneurship, which is very difficult. That might be a talk for a separate occasion. And we are the actually first company in the UK, in the EU, and almost around the world to developing and nurturing this kind of technology. So with limited time, let's say in 25 minutes, as you mentioned, that I'm going to focus on the introduction and a little bit about biotechnology in agri-tech, and more focusing on product formulation, which we have already talked about this morning. I think somebody also touched about the application technology and summarizing. So Bionema is a leading biopesticide technology developer for control of pests and diseases for horticulture, sports field, forest sector. I think it's very important when you're talking about whole agriculture system. So definition where I have just put it out here is horticulture, sports, and forestry, and you will see that why these sectors are very important compared to normal agriculture terminology when we are using that one. So I'm just aligning my slides. Yeah, so the other focus is very much is a mission is that commercializing bioinsecticide from naturally occurring microorganism, which is very much nematodes, fungi, and bacteria. Again, these are basically very big topic, which we can talk again separately. So what basically we are doing at the moment at Bionema, we know that there are products in the market for last, I would say, the 20 to 30 years. These biologicals come from a different source. So there is the fungi material, there is bacteria, there is nematodes, and some biological comes from plant material as well. Now, the most important and successful so far products are coming from microbial section. And microbial is very much including into pathogenic fungi and bacteria. If you remember, there's a BT actually is one of the successful pesticide, which is commercialized 50 years before. Now, the other topic which I basically talk more about developing formulation and delivery system. And I have a quotation actually is that no matter how brilliant products are, but it has to apply correct on time. So this is very much important, is not the products, but it how and when to apply. So again, we are very much focusing on this area. And this is as an industry, when we talk about biocontrol industry, industry as a whole should be focusing on how we can improve the delivery system. So we know that agricultural biotechnology has a wide applicability in chemistry, in biopesticide, microbials, and natural products. Again, each one will take a separate talking point. And so let's talk a little bit about today is biopesticide here. So we touched a little bit about that. There is some alarming question is coming that how we are going to feed 10 billion people without destroying the planet. And I think categorically, I would say that there is a problem and destruction is being done today to the soil health. And the soil health is one of the basically part of the planet as well. So yes, there is a question and how we're going to do that. But because of the biotechnology improvement and biotechnology solution has basically done something which is actually providing input, I would say. So we now have several varieties actually who has a tolerance to the different tract, and these are actually can be used to in future agriculture. Now we also have seen a revolutionization of tissue culture planting, which actually lead to these kind of vertical, horizontal, all this kind of farming. So we can see that there is things are coming, but whether or not these are innovation or proportionally right according to the population, which basically need to be seen in the future. More and more, hopefully we will be seeing that some proof of concept is that whether or not this the farming and the proposal basically is going to happen in this world. If that happens, surely there is a significant impact of the biotechnology here. Now, it's not new now. There is many farms are basically using robotic system. Robot is being actually used in many other things. We have here in the UK called the precision agriculture. But what is the adaptability and how long it will take to take to the market these kind of products? What is the cost benefit analysis? All this basically need to be done. Who are the consumer are ready to pay? All this basically need to be done as a commercial point of view. Now this was, I was just looking something and I found that this is a fascinating research done in 2000, which mentioned that a spider silk is the strongest fiber known to man, stronger than Kevlar, with a higher tensile strength than steel. And further that a company in Canada, Nexia, announced that development of transgenic goats that produce a spider silk protein in their milk. So I think this is what we are going to see in the future. We have seen that is a lot of genetic crops and modification is coming, but whether or not these genetically modifying crops is acceptable to the community, I mean, surely not in the European Union. People have tried a lot, but they're failed. So it's looked like that these kind of things is more in developing country, but not in a developed country. Again, there are some pros and cons of these technology. This is I just wanted to put something. I know that in spite of the progress, which we are talking since morning, the input, all sort of things, and still we see a huge problem of the pest and diseases. Now, this army wars is causing billion-dollar crop damage worldwide. And I have read something from the Vietnams. Then there was an outbreak in other country. So I think you will be looking for solution. And where is the solution? And that solution basically need to be seen in the future. We have a serious problem here in the UK and Europe, oak processory moth. Now, these are very serious one and has a repercussion to the human health as well. So when the basically population grow, they release a lot of hairs, and these hairs actually has a serious problem in the breathing of the human. So controlling this serious pest is very important. But so far, we are struggling to find a solution. So the one thing I'm very much involved from the Bionema point of view, we have developed a nematode-based product which control many pests actually in agriculture, in horticulture, forestry, and the turf and amenity. By the way, turf and amenity includes all the footballs, race course, and golfing industry. And you see from this is very national paper is saying that there is a problem here after the banning of the chemical pesticide. Now, this is again the question can be asked that do we have something to fill the gap in the market before you ban the chemical? I just heard that Indian government is considering to banning the 27 insecticide. I think sometimes this will create this scenario. So when you are banning your chemicals and you don't have solution, then you are going to see a serious problem. Now, this is a you don't have to go more in detail, but just see that these are the soil pests which cause damage to turf industry or golfing industry. And population actually increased because chlorpyrifos was one of the insecticide, which was basically used to control this one, another pest, which was banned in European Union in 2016. And since then, this golfing industry actually has no other products. And these populations start building and building. And today you see that what happened. I'm very much again involved in golfing. And you see from the Twitter account, I received some of these pests actually. So these greenkeepers are actually collecting and actually posting and appealing actually what to do. And again, from my company is actually selling these nematodes, which actually are killing this pest. But that need to be again more in terms of the biopesticide, how and when to use them. Let's come to the more talking point, which is not new to the anywhere. We know that revolutionized industry is based on the pesticide fertilizer, which we are using for 100 years here. There is nothing wrong in that. These are the simple things. Is the 4 billion tons of this active ingredient actually is being used to kill the pest and diseases. I think there is an indiscriminate use here. So the proportion wise, we are using more chemical than what we have been using. And consequently, this is what is going to happen. So the EU actually committing to reduce 50% pesticide by 2030, and other countries are actually considering as well. I just want to point to the blue one, which is a chronic health hazard. And you see all the blue picture in your left side is basically going to cause a chronic health hazards. Now, educating is that this kind of chemical should be in the market is actually for debate. But I'm sure that there is a way to keep these products and safe way is only way to be used as a part of integrated pest management. But when you are looking for the red ones, surely red one all are going to remove from the market in next 10 years. So the green zone, again, you see there are some green boxes are there, which are actually the green chemistry. And again, we are promoting that these products should come in the market and can be applied as a part of integrated pest management program. Now, if you are looking at the data, what happened within, I think, about 30 years, and you see roughly more than 2.5 million tons actually pesticide, and it's not double, but it is very much reaching to the 4 billion, which I made a statement before. So that is increasing, and there is no, but there is very interesting after 2010, 12 and 14, you see there is not significant increase here. And that's where the biological pesticide actually put their entry. And those basically, again, are an important element to actually replace some of the chemical pesticide. Those are basically not working or basically become resistant to the chemical, against insect and pest. So we are still dealing with the old chemistry. We have a lot of formulation. I'm not going to explain each and everything, but in a nutshell, there is a formulation. There are formulation available in the market, and those products are actually based on a different active ingredient. So some products are the liquid, some products are actually soluble, and so on. There are some good work has done by the multinational company. Those were today in this meeting, and these are form of basically very much defining more important element in chemistry. So it is not only the pesticide, but adding some surfactant adjuvants and forming a carrier. These carriers were actually designed to deliver in an amount of pesticide or insecticide needed to kill the target. So it's very much things has been already done, and we know that we are using these products for the last 100 years. And nano-based formulation, previously there was a nano fertilizer mentioned here. Yes, these are actually different nano-based formulation, which is actually increase the surface area, and I will explain you how important are these. So these are basically different formulation already available in the market, and more research actually need to be done in order to facilitate more products in the market. So normally these pesticides being used, we're using conventional equipments. They have been used with vertical as well. As you see, the fan actually is applying in an orchard scenario. I mean, this is a very typical what is happening in developing countries, where I think there is no respect of this one. And I think there are some pictures where people even they don't have a cloth in that. So these are basically some of the things we see. There is some improvement here and advancement. We will see that people are working on drone and helicopter, all these things. But let's focus on these slides. I want to give a little bit more emphasis here. So conventional pesticide formulation. Yeah, let's say we are applying 100%, whether you're using helicopter, using machine, or using conventional or anything. Your bottom line is the 50% is going to waste with a spray drift. Now, a spray drift, there is again topics of discussion how this drift happened. Now, further 30% actually is rolling down. So once these chemicals are landing on the leaf, and the leaf, by the way, has a horizontal, vertical, or sort of structure when they are in the crop, looking to the wheat, those are very much like a standing. You have a strawberries and other cucumber, those are quite flat leaves. So again, there is a lot of diversity here, but it's a very much what is happening after a number of research combined together here. And you see the further 15% dust rift. These are basically loss of the chemical, further reaching 5 and less than 1% actually reaching to the target. Now, just imagine that you're less than 1% or less than 10%, I would say, even for sake of argument, reaching to the target, and the target is being killed, and farmers are actually getting about 70-80% control. I think that's not bad, but problem is that we are wasting 90% pesticide in our farmland. That's basically need to think about how we can use those 90%, or we cannot use that 90%. So that's where the delivery system comes, how we can sort out our delivery system so the delivery actually can be very much targeted what basically is needed. By the way, I mean, these are already characterized as a toxic, as a poison. So these are basically, if they're landing in the farmland, they will destroy the soils, they will destroy the soil community. There are plenty of bacteria and fungus, which one way we want to put input wise a lot of microbials, and in other hand, we are putting a lot of chemicals, and this is not going to work. So a little bit more about what has happened, if somebody is more interested, is what happened in this formulation when you apply. And you see, if this is a layman wording, is that if the formulation particles, whatever you are applying, is bigger, there is a less chance that they can kill pest and diseases. As you see, you move to the small particles, the coverage increases. And that's where the nanoparticles and other kind of formulation comes. And this is where we have to work as an industry, how to increase the surface area, how to increase the coverage, how to improve this dispersal, and so that those can reach to the target. Now, the other important point is where when we talk about the nano modification, when the nano formulation is coming versus a droplets. Now, the droplets is if you see the left side in the corner is very much standing there, and these cuticles are hydrophobic. Now, because of the hydrophobic nature, they will be just standing there. They will not melt down. So we will need to have some adjuvant, so surfactant, which actually can neutralize these waxy cuticles, and these actually then can have improve their spread and adhesion. Now, adhesion is another area which need to we talk about more detail about what we can do, how we can increase the adhesion so that these particles are actually landing on the leaf or surface. They should be there, and they should be come in contact with pests and diseases. Now, let's see very much comparison where the biopesticide is standing today. So from the records, the market research data, it is showing that biopesticides is growing 3.5 times faster than chemical pesticide. As you see the left, right side, the market value was 3 billion, which is going to grow 6.3 billion. There is a lot of market research data which say it's going to grow 10 billion, 25 billion. But bottom line is that the market size is growing and it will grow in the future as well. Looking to this graph here, as you see the biopesticide market share by region, and once you compare the North America and Europe, North America actually is leading still because of their very friendly, I would say, the regulatory system, and where that growth is actually 16. The total, I think, size is about 35.3% compared to the Europe is 2.7%. But Europe is growing now, and I think it's very close to catch up. When you compare to the Asia Pacific, you see that they are not bad. They are actually 21.4%. Rest of the world is also working. So this is again showing that the very much it's a two geographic area. So the EU versus North America is going. This is a more detail about country. Those are promoting biological pesticides, and you see the France is one of the country who is actually more forward thinking. They have banned a few chemical in their country. Spain is other, and this country actually, Italy, Germany are exporting as well. So this is again the food export is coming there. Looking to the China, India wise, as you see, they are not bad in growth. There is more than 20% growth is going, but I'm not basically aware if these products exist anymore. But because of the data which we see here and products, those are there in the market of Europe and the North America, those are actually are genuine. Now, I'm more a firm believer of formulation. And I'm going to give you a few tips here and the slides. That's what I like. So if the biopesticide actually is going to move forward, we have to work on biological formulation. There is a company called the Exocet in the UK who developed a formulation based on the Beauveria bassiana. And this was a electrostatic magnet powders. Those powders were actually enhancing attachment of spores. Those spores again is very much like delivering the number of spores will be needed, and that company actually bought by the Theramera now. The other formulation I like, the Eden Bioresearch, is again the UK company. They develop a microencapsulation, and these microencapsulation again is very super formulation, is actually encapsulating as active, those active actually being released slowly when it's needed. So that's what a smart formulation technology will be needed. Other formulation I'm interested, and I knew that it's working, which is again is very much based on a formulation which is attracting soil pest. So when you apply these granular formulation in a soil, they actually attract the grubs or caterpillars or other things. And when they come in contact with these granular formulation, then they are being killed. And after that, basically, they will be, then the fungus will spread. So there is a not very hi-fi biotech, but these products are already in the market. And that's what we'll be looking for. Now, we are working on microencapsulation. This is funded by more than a £2 million project from the local government, and where Bionema is actually accelerating developing microencapsulation. Because of the sensitivity of the data, and I can't talk more about this, but we have revolutionized this sector as well, where we have proof that these microbial can be microencapsulated first time in history and can be applied to control the pest. So these actually, again, is very much like you've done the research now, then you are entering in the registration and then basically marketing and go to market, all sort of things. But nevertheless, it does show that there is a groundwork has been done, and the next phase is going through the registration process. We are working with a company in Colombia, where we are actually applying trichogramma in sugarcane. and these technology actually is working. And so these actually, I have data where I think is about $10 per hectare is being the cost actually. They have also tested in cocoa, avocado. So it's very much in a high value crop where these things has been done. Now, I just wanted to bring products, those are in the market. So if you compare biological pesticide versus chemical pesticide, I mean, chemical, we have hundreds of thousands of the products, whereas the biological is only a handful of products in the market. So as an industry, I think there is a long way to go, and basically more product need to bring to the market in order to fill the gap when chemical pesticide has been removed. These are some of the products which is based on the nematodes. So we developed Nematrident. The first product in the top corner is very much a unique technology which includes nematodes and a compatible wetting agent. So when you apply with nematodes with wetting agent, it's increased the 20 to 30% higher efficacy. Again, there is a lot of mechanism how it works and how, but nevertheless, this technology has demonstrated that they are providing better results in horticulture, forestry, and the turf industry sector. Now, a little bit talking about what issue currently we are facing in terms of formulation. As you mentioned that we have a limited product in the market. And there is more detail if I go there, it's more about the adhesion. We apply product, or farmers, growers are apply products, but what percentage of products reach to the target? That's what we are talking about. Then we are looking for which kind of equipments we will be using, which is more suited for the different sectors, not only for one crop. Lack of application in a different sector, so it is impossible to apply the same equipment for horticulture or same equipment you can apply for turf and industry sector. So that need to be discussed. And more importantly, compatibility of different products. When growers and farmers are dealing with a number of products, I think this is a very much debatable subject, compatibility. Now, if they are using chemical in form of the bioinsecticide, biofungicide, bioherbicide, and at the same time, they are also using microbial standard. I think this is a need to be discussed about this, how they can use, when they can use without compromising other products and at the same time. Now, not going to more detail about, but this is all about talking is that delivery system need to be sorted. We have a bigger problem when we are selecting the nozzles, how this can be done, and which crop and which area, particle size, droplet size, all this need to basically sorted. And just in this slide, I want to point in the right side, top and bottom. This is very much like when farmers are using high amount of water and the low amount of water. And you see that when you use large liters, or let's say high number of liters per hectare, your droplet size actually is increases, which means they will just slip, they will fall off, and they will not actually stick to the leaf. When you standardize these droplet size with the low amount of water, there is 250 liters per hectare as well. Those are actually more better and suited for the different crops. Now again, this is going on more sprayable behavior.
Sir, we are actually having a challenge of time, so we have already actually overshot by a couple of minutes, in fact 5 minutes. So if you can summarize it, that would be great. Yeah, sure.
Where is gone? I can't see you. I'm just finished now. So
yeah, sure.
So that's the last slide here. So yes, I think the more important that you are looking for more formulation and delivery system. And more specific work need to be done in different sectors, horticulture, forestry, and turf industry. Biologicals are actually still considered as a high value crop, and they have to be applied with the proper training and advice. With this, thank you very much, Deepak, for this opportunity.
Sure, thanks, Dr. Ansari. It was a pleasure hearing such a elaborate discussion on something which is very important. So we all believe that agriculture need to be more sustainable and more environmental friendly. And as you rightly pointed out that we cannot just wish away all the chemical pesticide or synthetic pesticide, but at the end of the day, there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. So now let's go through the last part of this awesome summit. And I again would love to thank all the participants who have stayed back till now and have made this a success. And I'm pretty sure that everybody would have learned a lot from our esteemed panel of guests. And I'm pretty sure that being the third summit of this Agriculture Roundtable Web Summit series, it would have added a lot of value. Now we will be going through a very brief presentation about, typically we are talking about all the challenges, all the opportunities of different part of input, agriculture input value chains. Now let's talk about a little bit of about where the market is and what's happening in commercial terms. So if we see just the agriculture input markets, which is comprising of pesticide, fertilizer, digital agriculture services, seeds, as well as mechanization service, the total market is currently typically $339 billion US, and it is growing at compounded annual growth rate of 4%. Now there are some, I'll say that green shoots in some of those economies which have been predominantly pretty slow till now, or the adoption has been very low. When we talk about sub-Saharan Africa, you'll see that over the next 5 years, there is a 6.6% CAGR when it comes to the input. That means there would be more investment in these economies, and that will ensure, I believe, better yields, more sustainable agriculture, ensuring that we are not misusing or abusing the water, because these input also are about water. Next is North Africa. Again, you see 7.1% growth in there. And South Asia, which India is part of, is around 4.9%. And Southeast Asia is around 5.9%. Europe and North America, already they are mature markets, and hence you see that their growth is, for example, in Europe 1.9% and North America 2.3%. Now, if we go in the countries where we operate and we understand, we have identified these few countries where just as a typically guiding light. So you see a lot of things happening in North Africa and Middle East. So that's why you see Saudi Arabia and Egypt, where the CAGR is around 11% in Saudi Arabia and 8% in Egypt. Then you also see substantial growth when it comes to one East African and one West African country, which is Kenya and Ghana. Kenya predominantly will find that this increase is coming predominantly because a lot of farmers are moving to floriculture, horticulture, and those type of crops. Ghana, you are seeing this growth coming because, again, the farmers moving towards, in North Ghana, towards cotton, which again needs a lot of inputs. At the same time, a lot of mechanization is happening because the size of the farms are being increased, because more and more farming becoming commercialized. Ethiopia also, you see 7.3% growth. This is predominantly coming from a shift in the coffee growing pattern in Ethiopia, where the predominantly conventional areas of coffee grown has been shifted to other areas, and in those new areas, it is creating more demand. And then coming to Asia, Vietnam, again, 6.1% growth, Indonesia, 5.2% growth, and 4.1% growth in India. So these are where actually, when we talk about Africa and Asia, where the markets are. Now, if you see about typically the market potential factors which impact, on which we typically also do research on, is market size, growth potential, agriculture, economics, policy environment, agronomy, water infrastructure, because for any input cost, water infrastructure is very important. If you don't have water infrastructure, you won't be having too much of agriculture, and hence you won't be having need for the inputs. Then the political stability, farmers demographic, younger the farmers, you'll find that more inclined they are to use inputs, and then definitely input costs. Now, based on that, we have created a matrix where we see that Saudi Arabia, Vietnam, Ghana, Kenya, Egypt, Indonesia, India, and Ethiopia being placed on their potential as well as the technology advancement which they are looking at in their typically input. So more innovative solution can be sold towards Saudi Arabia and Egypt. Medium innovative products can be sold in Vietnam, Indonesia, and India. And again, the old plain vanilla solutions can be sold more in Ghana, Kenya, and Ethiopia. Now, a little bit about us. So we do a lot of work with our company being working on intersection of technology and agriculture. So we as a consulting company try to create competitive advantages to the ecosystem players in agriculture. We do a lot of market research activities, go-to-market strategies. We deliver a lot of insight in form of reports, consulting services. We also work on with corporate and community farmers providing agronomy services. We also do a lot of greenfield projects and as what we are doing today, creating ecosystems and platforms so that industry can communicate with each other and create more value in terms of collaborative innovation and insights. So we enable new opportunities by creating for different organizations, typically in tech as well as other input side, by market mapping, business models, tech strategy, go-to-market strategy, identifying and negotiating with partners, regulation and compliance, revenue activation, pilot and scale up if there are new products, growth hacking, and organization building. So this is where our area of expertise. So we understand Africa and Asia pretty well, from Ghana, Ethiopia, Egypt, all the way to Nigeria and Mozambique. And in Asia, we understand SAARC and ASEAN countries pretty well. We are having humongous experience with the team which we are having with our team on total have worked with close to 300,000 farmers. We are having network of 300 plus global agriculture business CXOs, experience of working in 16 countries, insight from 1 million of hectares. We are having various stage of commercial engagement in 3 continents and have worked on 50 plus value chains and 40 plus agroclimatical zone. And we are very closely associated with 40 plus agro ecosystem players. And that's me actually, I've been in this industry for a long time, and as a student, as well as someone who has have honor of creating a couple of tech companies with successful exits, I believe there is a lot value can be provided to the ecosystem based on my own learning and having worked in close to 20 different countries. And with that, I would thank all of you for patient hearing, and it was an honor to have all of you who have been the speakers, who have been the audience. So with that, I would like to conclude this summit and would request you to join again on 6th of August when we are having another roundtable, which is focused on policy and investments. And we are having some of the top speakers from Commonwealth, from CISR, and one of the top, I'll say that, ecosystem builder when it comes to the venture capitalists and private equity in India. So keep supporting us, motivating us by participating in these sessions. Thank you. Good night. Take care.